welcome to our Morning Throners podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners. Alright, welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners. We got Arya 9 on deck. 3AG for everybody keeping track. Welcome, gents.
Guys, how you doing?
What's 3AG?
This chapter.
3 Afterglow.
Oh,
Didn't you create that?
I'm
I
sorry.
thought you created that in the Discord, didn't you?
I probably did, but I already forgot about it. Sorry.
Yeah, who is Glow again?
Yeah, we forget who Glow is.
Alright, Kyle, thoughts on the chapter? Early thoughts?
I mean, I hate saying it was good, but like this one was cool. Arya's finally doing some stuff, you know? Like she's been trying for a while to have things go her way, and she finally starts coming up in this chapter.
Just curious, why do you say you hate to say it was good? It was a good-ass chapter.
I just hate fucking saying that every time. Like, that's a lame answer, right?
Every time someone dies.
Yeah,
I mean,
guess
also,
you're right.
we wouldn't be doing the podcast if we didn't think that most chapters were good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I hate to just kind of rehash.
Yeah, it would be harder if we asked you to rank it like on a score of 10, because then we'd just be keeping track on you, and you'd be like, "Oh, I want to get back to that one." And, like you could never give like, what would this be? An 8.1?
I feel like I've said this multiple times during this book at this point, but I feel like stuff's like kind of kicking off at multiple places at the same time, right? We just had the Theon thing, like we kind of saw that happening come to fruition. We've heard that Roose was coming to Harrenhal, like in cat chapters for like the past 2 cat chapters. I think that's coming to fruition. So it's always cool when like we knew pieces were moving, and then we finally get the POV inside the place where everything's going down.
There's somebody I talk to about it sometimes, and he was reading, and he was further than us, and that was essentially what he said. He's like, everything's finally starting to come together.
Yeah.
And we're there, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's like the chessboard when a piece. I guess checkers might be a little bit better because you can move some chess pieces around pretty quickly. But you know, they moved up their board, and now we're starting to decide who's jumping who.
Yeah, and you're getting some double jumps in some places.
All right, we come in hot in the kitchens after dark with our boy Hot Pie making some morning bread, and Arya sneaking out of bedtime.
So I guess the last Arya chapter, I didn't go and check, but I guess the last Arya chapter ends with Whis dying, right? Tywin leaves.
She had the letter, right? Did she have a letter or a note?
I don't think so. She had a note? I think at the very end, right? The whole chapter there was something going on during the chapter, but the end was Tywin leaving. Everyone was getting ready for Tywin leaving. And she kills Whis, and she tries to stop.
Wasn't it when she was running around with the beer and shit like that? Like
I think at the very end, she's trying to run and stop Whis. She's like, "Oh fuck, Whis doesn't matter. These people." She's like watching the mountain and Tywin ride out of Harrenhal in front of her, and she's like, "These people are the people that matter." So she's like trying to run and find Jaqen at the end, and then she comes on a dead Whis, and there's a dog there,
just getting eaten by his doggy.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit later, but we were talking about like, how did Whis die? Did his neck get slit, and then the dog was cleaning up after him? But here, Arya when she talks to Jaqen, she says like, "How the fuck did you make that dog kill that guy?"
She even thinks about it too. Like that's why she's hiding from him.
Yeah, so it makes me think that it's like
the full story and the full crime report, though.
I'm assuming words going around to Harrenhal, though. But I guess you're right.
I know, but what did everybody see? They saw the dog eating his corpse, right?
I'm just saying. I would assume the people there, the characters, would know better than us.
I think they heard screams. So
I also think in the last chapter, just when we were talking about it, I was kind of saying like, no, I think it was the dog. And you guys were like, that's stupid. Doesn't make sense. And I think this might be why I think it's the dog, because at some point, I knew at some point everyone kind of took it as it was a dog.
Yeah, I mean, if it helps you, I think it's a dog too.
Again, doesn't super matter. We'll talk about it when we get there, when we see what she actually said.
The dog slit his throat with a knife? Is that what you're saying?
I think the
dog
dog
just killed him.
The dog had a knife in its paw. And
that's what I'm saying.
That's what I think.
Jaqen taped a knife to the dog's head.
Yeah, exactly.
He went to give him a kiss, and it.
All right, so Jeff was right. Starts off, Arya talking to Hot Pie. They're in the kitchens.
So the first little conversation is about a girl named Pia. I don't know if we've heard of Pia. I didn't remember her. Pia seeing a ghost.
Yeah, it's just kind of kids having a conversation about like how shitty this is, right? But how it's better than what it was. Pretty much.
I think that's a big theme of the chapter too, is that Arya like can't wait to leave, and Hot Pie's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm making bread. Like, this is way better." And same with Gendry. Gendry's like, exactly. "Look, I'm a smith. Like, this is what I smith. That's what I do. Like, yeah, it might suck for you because you were getting served your whole life, but this is like awesome. This is like living at a hotel.
And I think what Hot Pie compares it to is like the immediate past right before they got to Harrenhal. Like that's going to be what he goes immediately back to is just like hiking through the woods, traveling long distances. He's like, fuck that. Like you guys are saying, I'm not eating worms. Fuck that. We're kids. Like, no way. And Gendry's like, and Gendry
what was Hot Pie going to do in King's Landing, right? He was going to make pies. This was always what he was going to do. I think that's where his name's from.
Yeah. Well, what at least Hot Pie was saying, I took it he was more of afraid of the immediate hike. I thought Gendry was saying more what you're saying, Kyle, where it's like, my job
but
is
I think
same
that they're still kind of
it applies to both.
The same.
Yep.
Yeah. They've upgraded, or at least went back to normal.
And it sounds like for Gendry's position, you kind of have to be somewhere for a while to elevate. Like you can't just keep popping in the new spots and want to be the head armorer. Like you've got to.
I think if you were good,
unless you have a reputation, if you have a high reputation,
yeah,
that's like a skilled laborer, right?
And they'd be happy that you came, like
Yeah, but if they already had someone would have to die almost. Like are you going to show up and just be better? Maybe you could be better, and the guy would be like, all right, fire him. Yeah, unless.
You open a store and people come to yours?
I think King's Landing is probably the only place though that has like a market of like Iron Street, right? Like Winterfell has one armorer.
It had one armorer. Theon killed him last chapter.
One head armorer.
They had one. Town. What's the town out front that gets populated? Like I mean that probably has
Wintertown.
Yeah, there's probably some lesser armorers down in Wintertown that can do something. Yeah, make horseshoes at least, right? Maybe not blades.
So I don't know. I mean, I think there's. Yeah. You're right, Jeff. You'd probably run the other guy out of town.
But like this just reminds me of the like I just read a book on World War II stuff, but like they don't really like, at least immediately they weren't executing the Jews that were skilled laborers, like craftsmen, carpenters, stuff like that. They were keeping them around, to not destroy the economy immediately, but also to like have them make war supplies. So kind of like, Theon, you're an idiot. Don't kill the people. Like
don't kill the prisoners that can actually help you.
He was speaking out, so
yeah.
But like Gendry, kind of to Gendry's point, like, and I think what you guys are saying, that he's a little more safe than people like. I don't know if Hot Pie would be considered a skilled laborer. He seems like he's good at cooking, but like Arya, right?
I mean, there's good bakers and there's bad bakers. There's good bakers and bad bakers. For sure.
Yeah. But I mean, like even Hot Pie, definitely Gendry would be way more important than somebody like Arya.
For sure. Yeah. At this point, especially in wartime too.
You replace Arya with anyone.
All right, fuck those two. Arya wants to spit in Armory's tarts. She still hates him.
Yep.
And she just kind of explains how she's been able to sneak out. Like, she shouldn't be in the kitchen. They go on about it. And she kind of mentions how she's been sneaking past Pink Eye.
Who's her new Weiss, right?
Yeah.
The new guy, her new boss, basically.
But he doesn't sound like a Lannister man. He just sounds like he's like an older prisoner.
It seems like Weiss was the same, though, right? He was the understeward of the Wailing Tower. I don't know if he was loyal to the Lannisters, but I don't know if he would have.
Yeah, I don't know if the prisoners.
Pink Eye laughs at the end. He just like takes up. Is he just a worker? Like, all right, he's in charge of workers.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what Weiss was, right? He was the understeward.
I thought Weiss was like Lannister man in charge of.
I think he was just the one in charge of all the servants in that tower. But I think at one point they did say that like somebody there. I forget what they call them. There was two old women that were like putting everyone in their places, and Arya's like, "Can I go to the stables?"
Yeah,
like those two people.
Right.
I think Arya said like one of them came in just like Arya did, and they're like, "If you rise high, one day you'll be as high as me," or something like that.
That makes sense.
Basically saying like I came in as a prisoner and I just served until I got a cushier spot.
Pledging your loyalty as well, though. Like, you know.
I had it kind of confused. Like Weiss was leaving with Tywin, but he wasn't. He was staying. But she wanted to stop it to kill one of them before they killed Weiss. Okay.
Yeah.
Hot Pie, this is kind of where he first mentions, like, I think she says, like, I can sneak out, I can sneak away.
Well,
like,
she's thinking about how she's sneaking away from Pink Eye every night. And the one thing that she says here that caught my eye was she's saying that Syrio used to tell her that darkness could be her friend. And that just brings me to think about the Melisandre Davos conversation, right? Where Davos is like, no, right now darkness hides us.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally?
And she's like, no, it's the lights in their eyes on the walls that hide. They're light blind because of like they had that Arya. I just think I don't know. The darkness is your friend.
Till Bane shows up.
Yeah.
Or till the fucking shadow comes out of the shadow fetus. Murders you.
And this is when Hot Pie was like, fuck that. Like, I'm not eating worms again. I'm staying.
Yeah.
I guess she needs the light for the shadow fetus, right? I'm backwards on that.
You need a light to make shadow.
That's that's basically what Mel tells
That's her
Thomas, right?
argument.
Yeah.
So her ally is light.
Which is what I'm saying. We're getting a little off topic here, but if Penrose is sleeping in a completely dark room, then does the shadow does it not exist?
He probably had his TV on.
Yeah, he had a nightlight.
His cell phone buzzed, and there was a little bit of light. Whew, for a sip of whiskey, burn in the chest.
So this is where Arya hears something. Hot Pie doesn't hear it, but Arya hears something, and she basically, all right, I'm gonna head out of here. But yeah, it was 2 horn blasts. Hot Pie just doesn't hear it. But
I mean, it might have been faint inside the building. She's just better at paying attention.
And to Arya's point, she was like, "You listen with your ears. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, he's talking too much." And then the porculus, she hears that opening too. And the castle is awake. Oh, she runs out. She's like, "Fuck you, Popeye. I'm going out." Grabs a tart. And by this point, the castle is awake. They're getting ready to see who's coming in, and it is the bloody mummers walking in with some plunder.
Yeah, I just think a cool quote when she's on the way there. She thinks to herself, "Barefoot, surefoot, lightfoot." She's saying under her breath, "I am the ghost in Harrenhal." Mm-hmm. And she gets into it a few times that like she even kind of realizes like I used to be a mouse when I was on the trail. I was whatever, and then she realized that when Jaqen basically was like, "I'll kill whoever you want," that's when she became less afraid.
She's not the mouse anymore,
or the sheep.
Yeah, so she still kind of feel like a badass running like she owns this place.
A part of the loot is a big old black bear.
Yeah. Which comes up a little later in the chapter.
Yeah, I didn't think it was important the whole time.
But people are, and they hang it too. They hang it up in the air, which is kind of weird.
They don't hang it they hang the cage, right? The
bear's not still hanging in the air.
Yeah. But
and then
hang the black bear in the Dallas.
Screw this black bear. And then they get a look. She gets a look at a lot of prisoners coming in.
Some of them fancy.
Some fancy lord
First she
people.
thinks it's Lannisters, hurt Lannisters, right? But then she sees, oh no, shit, it's a glove, right? A fist?
A fist,
Glover sigil, yeah.
Yeah. Fist and not the lion. So she knows something. Mm-hmm. She starts recognizing more of these symbols.
Yeah, as they walk by in the light, she sees them.
Frey, Karstark, Bolton, Serwyn, and then Glover, obviously, yep.
These are Ned's men. This is what she... and Rob's.
She lost count at about 50, but she thinks there's got to be about 100, close, just like guessing, close to 100, which is interesting because we know...
It doesn't sound like they're moving too fast for her to lose count. Like
it's just a lot, and there's a lot going on, probably. Yeah.
What's interesting is we know there's only about 100 people inside the castle, right?
Mm-hmm. Like do we know that yet, or did she talk about that?
She goes to that later when she says there's 100 men to guard 1,000 doors. Nobody gives a fuck where anybody's at anymore, really.
And that nobody even knows what everyone else is supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Everyone probably got like 18 more hats to wear. And they just shut shit down. So like if you were working in another part of the castle, now you're elsewhere. So you probably don't even know people that well.
I mean, but now there's only 100 people. You should know everybody. It's like that's the size of a football team.
Not if they were on the other side of the castle. I'm saying.
Okay,
like, they were in this tower, working this tower, and then they're like, all right, like who's this new tower guy?
So Amory doesn't seem too happy about this, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, he just hates Vargo.
Is it just a time or like?
Well, we know Vargo and Amory don't like each other. First of all, right? Like those are the two that Tywin made kiss and make up.
So it just looks like Vargo won a battle, right?
Won a battle, yeah. So I just took it as like fuck you, whatever. I would have preferred you lost.
Okay. Yeah, Miss Glory or
gotcha. He's jealous.
But Arya notes. I think it's around here that Arya notes that their arms and legs aren't cut off.
But right, so
she like the Vargo is known for.
But they're pretty injured. They're limping pretty hard, and
like some of them have whips, right? Yeah, she says she knows that they're injured, but
they're getting whipped. They're getting whipped as they're walking.
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, she thinks of that later on, I think. Yeah. But right now, Armory's about to pop out onto his balcony.
Yep. So he comes out. And Vargo has this, I don't know if we've ever actually had Vargo dialogue before, but he's got this bad lisp.
Yeah, not like this. I wasn't ready for it.
It's like tough to read.
I thought the first word that he had the lisp for was a new word. I was like, what the fuck's
Game of Thrones words? Captive.
Thick and slobbery voice as if his tongue was too big for his mouth.
He's trying to say captives. Roose Bolton thought to cross the river, but my brave companions cut his van to pieces, killed many, and sent Bolton running.
You got to speak like Daffy Duck.
I'm trying to understand what it actually says, though.
This is their Lord Commander Glover, and the one behind is the Anus Frey. Fucking Anus.
Anus Frey, yeah. I linked
Anus.
it.
I like
Frey.
Anus better. I'm going with Anus.
He says Anus Frey.
All right, send them to the fucking cells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. We're supposed to get some honorable ass treatment. What was he expecting? Like, put up in a room and, pillow bed, feather bed and shit?
Yeah, free reign in the castle with promise not to leave. Kind of like the captives that,
Maybe, yeah. And
the other lords that Cersei has. Yeah.
There's 100 of them. That would be stupid as
Well,
fuck.
that's what they did at River Run, but yeah, it'd be stupid because they have equal numbers. They had to have way more River Run people than. Are you talking about the people they sent with Cleo's Frey?
No, I was talking about Cersei had those two dudes. I forget who they were now.
Osney and the Kettle Blacks.
No, the two guys were the red wines, I think, were the two guys.
But yeah, they would need more numbers here. So yeah, exactly. Like why would they let him run free? I agree. I'm not.
Yeah.
But that was kind of what he was thinking, I think.
Glover was hopeful.
Yeah, so and Amory, I think here is just trying to be like, I don't give a fuck. I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Put him in the cells. So
all in one cell.
One giant cell.
But Vargo actually stands up for him being in charge too. He yells at the Glover guy to be silent, like when he's silence or however you would say it.
Yeah,
but
silence.
I don't know. Like if you're Vargo and you're like, all right, yeah, you can have honorable shit, and then Amory goes against you in front of everybody, and you obviously don't like each other. He kind of backs him right away, which.
Well, there's something's
I think
up here,
we know.
Right?
Yeah,
Kyle, do we want to talk about that? Sometimes I like beat around the bush, but they tell you in this chapter that something's up here.
Yeah, well,
later in the chapter, right?
Essentially, what happens is that Vargo was always on these guys' side, right?
Yeah,
Roose must have paid him off or something, because that's why, like you said, nobody's hands and feet are cut off. Later, when they run into him, nobody's hurt anymore.
Yeah.
They're all just fine. And then, when the takeover happens, the rest of the companions, they don't get hurt. It's all guardsmen.
Yeah, and the way that Jockin explains it, I mean, there's some clues that Arya sees, but the way that Jockin explains it to Arya, he's like, "You don't understand what happened." She's like, "Yes, I do," but she thinks to herself, "I have no idea what just happened." And he's like, "A goat has no loyalty," is basically the one word sentence.
Yeah. Do you think she understood it after he tells her that? She doesn't mention it, so I'm gonna say
I think she gets it quickly. Yeah, I think by the end of the chapter she gets it, whether that puts it all together for her or not. But kind of like Kyle's saying, when all Armory's men are dead the next day. And all the brave companions aren't. I think that gives a hint to what happened. Yeah. So yeah, I think so. So back to why that was relevant there. Vargo's saying, "Shut the fuck up, Glover." I think he's like, "Don't ruin this." Yeah, just play your fucking part.
I also think it might be part of the act.
I think it was part of the act, like Kyle. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, captive. And they're whipping them.
Get to the cells.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the whips are for. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So as all this is happening, more people are coming out into the yard.
So Arya sees little pink guy, runny nose motherfucker sneaking out, and he's like, all right, I should get back. And this is when we learn that there's less people in Harrenhal, and there's some weird noises being made just less stuff for it to go through, I guess, like wind and stuff.
Well, we'd already heard that the Wailing Tower is called the Wailing Tower because if the wind blows the right way, we get this noise. I forget what else she's hearing, but there's a few other stuff. Oh, yeah. The emptiness. Yeah.
I think it's just she's kind of explaining the acoustics in there in general, though. I don't know that it has to be empty, but I think she's still kind of getting at she can still sneak around here because it's so creepy. People are hearing fake shit all the time, or sometimes you can make absolutely no noise,
and parts are just empty.
Yeah, we know this is the largest castle in all of Westeros, basically, right?
So it's easy to get lost in here.
Yeah.
She also notes that there's just less guards. There's less guards at each door, and some people don't even know who other people are. So at the end of the day, if a new guard was like, "What are you doing?" she could be like, "I'm going this way to get something," and they probably be like, "All right, go ahead."
So we find out she's been training still, right? That's where we're at.
Nah, she's about to hop into the
with Gendry,
armory
that's right.
or the forge and see Gendry pounding away on a breastplate. Yeah. Quick little running.
Yeah, just a few other points while she's running around. Some of the big buildings have been closed off, like the Hall of 100 Hearths, just like closed off.
King's Spire one of them?
Nope. She mentions that that's where Armory is now, and that like everyone else has basically been moved into King's Tower. So like Arya was before underneath the Wailing Tower, and Weiss was in charge of everyone there. Now there's not even enough people. There's only one tower one tower is holding basically all 100 people. So I think just put her consolidate everyone.
Some sense. Consolidate so you don't have to serve everywhere. You have kitchens open everywhere and whatnot.
Yeah, but I think that's like basically that's it. Basically, logistically, yeah. And then she hops into Gendry's thing through a hole in the roof. So, and
it doesn't freak him out really.
Yeah, but it also doesn't seem like she comes to see him that much, right? Like I got that vibe from a earlier Arya chapter that like I feel like she had gone to get like a sword for Lucan or something, right? And it was like the first time. It almost felt like the first time she had talked to him since, and it felt like it had been weeks. And so it doesn't seem like she comes to him too much, but on the other hand, he's not super surprised when she pops through a roof.
I felt like this time he was like, hey, what are you doing here again? Like she had been doing it more recently.
But to Kyle's point, the booklet, it says like there's a line that says like he wasn't surprised, even though she came through a hole in the roof.
Yep. He did not seem surprised to see her. You should be in bed, girl.
Yeah. But he does
He's
ask
making
her.
a breastplate. Right?
Yep. He's banging away on a breastplate, and then he asks her what all the commotion is.
And she tells him pretty much everything we went through. Like a bunch of the Northmen are captured. You have to help me get them out.
Yeah, and like when she tells him about the Northmen, like that's when she realizes why she came here. She like wasn't even like in her subconscious. I guess she always knew, but she wasn't like consciously aware why she came to tell Gendry this news. But then she was like, "Oh wait, you're my friend. You can help me get him out." And they have a conversation basesically that reminds me of the village conversation, right? I think Gendry even says like, "Do you not remember? Like we can't save people. We tried this before. We suck at it."
Well, that's what. Yeah, he's like, "How many guards do you think there is? Because we need to kill them."
Yeah, he's like, you can smash the lock with your hammer, and he's like, what? While the guards take bets on how many swings it takes.
Yeah. Well, she's like, well, we'll just kill him. We're like, we can't even kill anything. We don't have anything.
Yeah. And he's like, well, if there's two, that's too many for me and you. So
two's too many for me and you. It doesn't matter how many guards there are. We're not doing this. We tried this already. Do you not remember this? Do you remember Lamy? You couldn't save him. You can't save them. It's kind of like tough love from Gendry.
Yeah. And now a little more is up. Well, like unless you die, like I guess if you die, you're dead. That's the end. But like if they would keep you prisoner, like you're losing a hand. Like he doesn't want to lose a hand or a foot. I don't want to lose a hand or a foot either. That'd be bad.
Yeah. And then we get into kind of what we were saying earlier. Like, what's the fuck? Gendry saying, what is the point? Like,
so she can get the Winterfell. Yeah.
Yeah, and then exactly what you're saying, Winterfell.
Winterfell. My mommy will let you stay.
Gendry gets a little sarcastic. Oh, would my lady permit? Could I shoe your horses for you? Make swords for your lordly brothers? Like, he's like, I get. He's basically saying like, I get why you want to leave. You have a fucking cushy ass life waiting for you. Doesn't matter for me. I'm doing the same shit here or there. It's just colder.
I'm in a hot ass. He's still by a hot ass fours. I'm sure he doesn't really care.
And so he starts talking about this guy, a guy who's basically been smithing in Harrenhal here for a while, Ben Blackthumb. He came to Harrenhal as a boy, served Lady Sheila Went and her father before him, and his father before him, and even for Lord Lawson before the Wents. And he has told Gendry this phrase: "A sword's a sword, a helm's a helm, and if you stick your hand in the fire, you get burned, no matter who you're serving." So Gendry has learned from his elders. Doesn't fucking matter.
And the guy he's working for right now is pretty. I think that's the guy he's working for.
His boss. Yeah. He said he's a fair enough master. I'll stay here. Fuck that.
Yep.
And this is kind of what she even realized at the end of the last chapter, where it was like, well, I didn't need to use a name on Weiss because it's just going to be more of the same. Yeah,
exactly. There's going to be somebody that replaces Weiss. Yeah. Exactly.
But it's kind of opposite. But
that's right. She was definitely thinking that right when she did it.
Yep. She mentions that the Cersei will come track him down.
Arya mentions that, well, this dude, Ben Blackthumb, who said this, was not a wanted man. You are. And Gendry's like, I'm not. They probably don't even, it was probably a mistake. Like, he's like, I'm a no one.
I'm not special.
And if he is special, I mean, we know he's probably special. He has no fucking idea of it. So how would this, at this point, how would this information get to Gendry?
That how special he is?
That he's the king's son, right? I guess Stannis. There you go. Stannis did visit him, right?
Stannis used to, yeah.
Yeah.
Stannis knows he exists too.
Yeah. Like actually has probably seen Gendry from the John Aaron visits. Yeah. Good call, Kyle.
He's like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm staying. And she's like, you're a mule. Next time you make a helmet, put mule ears on instead of bull horns. You asshole. You jackass.
Doesn't this happen in Pinocchio? Doesn't Pinocchio don't like the little children turn into like donkeys on Pleasure Island? And don't they start? Don't a lot of them start with ears?
I haven't watched Pinocchio in a long time, but I remember it getting super weird when he turned into a donkey.
The only reason I'm thinking about this is I saw a trailer. They're making that's like the next live action kids movie, and Tom Hanks is Geppetto. Yeah, it's gonna be
probably be dope. It's super weird when he gets eaten by Moby Dick too, or at least the big whale. I don't know if it's Moby Dick or not, but it just gets weird. That movie gets super weird. I don't even remember how it ends. He turns into a real boy.
I know Jordan Peterson talks about Pinocchio a lot, and there's apparently there's a ton of like maybe biblical symbolism in there, which might be the whale. Again, I haven't really listen to a lot of it, but that might be where the whale
I think I remember being a kid being like, "This is weird. I don't want to watch it." Dumbo also gets super weird at times too.
You know, like movie I was terrified of as a kid. Have you ever heard of The Black Cauldron? I feel like it's not as mainstream as some of those other ones.
Yeah, that's kind of like Fantasia-ish, isn't it? Like
it scared the shit out of me. I saw my sister watching that, and I'm like I saw my 12-year-old sister. She was probably like 10 at the time. A few years ago, watching that, and I left the room. I'm like, what? I'm like, fuck no. I still don't want to watch that movie.
Yeah. What movies scare you guys? Let us know in the Discord. Alright, so she leaves and she's like, whatever, you were scared, and then she's like, oh my god, I used to be super scared too while we were marching to Harrenhal. I was wrong. I'm a mouse.
She does start thinking about real quick. She thinks about some of the people from the village. She's thinking like she's like pissed at Gendry, like he's the reason we got caught. Blah blah blah. I just like it because she's remembering all for Joffrey. It's like I think it's the second time, probably only other time this guy gets mentioned because
I didn't actually remember who Alfred Joffrey was. Yeah.
He was just a guy who kept telling him like, "Oh, my son works in the Kingsguard in the City Watch. Now I'm all for Joffrey. I'm all for Joffrey." And he's like, on the third day they killed Alfred Joffrey. Like that's what she was like talking about, like who they were killing. This is where I think you might have said it, Jeff, where she's thinking about some of the stuff I was saying earlier, where Jaqen is the one that was giving her courage.
Yeah, and now that she knows she can kill people, like, whatever, I'll just kill you if you mess with me. And it made her a ghost instead of a mouse.
But she's also hiding from him, right? Because
she's also scared shitless about him.
yeah, exactly. Because she doesn't know how he killed Weiss.
Yeah, this is where the dog stuff, we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. There's also another reason she's hiding from little old man wisdom.
Yeah. You gotta make your third wish count. It's like Aladdin.
Yeah, and all the stories from where you got magic wishes from Grumpkins, which is I think she says Grumpkins, right? She doesn't say genies.
Yeah.
She also posits the idea that if he's a wizard, then he might have summoned Rorg and Biter.
Yeah.
They could be demons. And so like she's like making him into this crazy, outlandish dude. So she's afraid of him, but it's also, yeah, exactly. She doesn't want to waste her last wish. She knows she needs time to think.
It went from being a simple assassin to like, you're a fucking sorcerer.
And without getting too, we don't have to get too into it, but she basically asks for more. She pulls the classic third wish trick. I want more wishes. Yeah. And she kind of gets what she wants out of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
She basically like pulls that.
I mean, he even says that at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's badass. It's just like, it's like the classic trope. Like, I want more wishes. And normally like that's a rule. You can't do it. So she gets a backdoor, lawyers the fuck out of Jaqen.
Jaqen didn't give her the disclaimer at the beginning.
But before we get there though, right?
Yeah.
So she goes to the Godswood. She's swinging. She made a fake sword out of a broom handle.
Yep.
Right.
I don't know what was
just like a shattered piece of wood.
Oh, she broke a little piece off and splintered.
I think she just says it's literally a broom handle. Yeah, she just
it was a broom handle, but she was like saying the splinter at end. So like, did she knock off the broom or?
Well, yeah, on a broom, one end is like curved and one end is ended just snapped.
Yeah, it did. I don't think she said she snapped it. Like, I thought it was just a broom. But
I took it that she literally like took a broom.
I think she did. I think she did snap it.
Oh, you're saying because you can unscrew broom handles?
Yeah. A thing. I mean, I don't know how good they were making brooms back then.
You think medieval times are unscrewing broom handles? They're just pounding that shit together.
You can unscrew broom handles now, kind of.
Yeah, definitely now, but we have plastic.
Yeah.
Making threads. Like, you think they're wasting time making threads on broom handles? They can just smash the...
What are they even using for the bristles? Are they just using sticks and just sweeping? I don't know. They have dirt floors. Like, what are you actually sweeping up?
If you took a broom right now and you wanted to make a sword with it, you'd snap it over your knee and break off the bristly end.
Yeah,
and now
she's 9 years old. She's not Bo Jackson.
Well, she whacked it.
That's exactly what she did. She said she broke the bristles off.
Whatever. That's neither here nor there.
It doesn't really matter. She's playing with this.
So
stick.
she made her own by breaking the bristles off a broom.
Suck it, Jeff.
It leaves it up for debate whether she snapped the
Does not
actual.
leave it up for
It leaves it up for debate if she actually snapped the wood off or just pulled the bristles out.
I got you. Okay.
Anyway, I think it's pointy on one end. So she's jumping around the trees, training, continuing her serial training or dancing, you know.
Getting her balance back.
At one point, she's like up in the up on branches.
Yeah.
Like a fucking ninja.
Yeah, she's doing crouching tiger stuff, right?
I mean, it's like when she was walking on like the walls. Wasn't she walking on walls?
It's also still nighttime though.
Yeah.
Like it's dark out.
Yeah, but she's got the moons and stars. There's probably a fuck ton of
She
stars.
said that's all she needs at some point.
I got you. I'm just saying, give this girl some credit. She's fine.
I know. Yeah.
It's not normal.
We always give her credit. She's the dopest character to date.
I know we don't like her. I just want to keep reminding, like, this is, and I guess it's like the reason she's good is because she says, like, basically, when I don't know what to do, this is what I do. I just come here and try this and
practice,
get better at it.
Yeah, and she is getting better every day, she says. So she's up in the canopy, you know, pretending all the branches and leaves are different people, killing all this stuff.
Cersei, Ellen, Mary,
yeah, her list.
The Hound.
I mean, that's really.
She's got to be making some noise though too. I don't know how far away
for Jack to show up eventually.
Yeah. I mean, he's a little bit weirder. We don't know, but like, if the Godswoods were like close to like say someone's window. She's like banging branches and shit. Like maybe they would just say
I did think all the whacking was probably making some noise.
The thing that I'm thinking though is like at least the Winterfell Godswood is like huge. It's like takes up a third of the size of the entire inside the walls.
You're still in there whacking
around
on
it's
stuff.
like acres. I'm assuming that the Harrenhal one isn't that big because it's more in the south. But Harrenhal's again is the biggest cat. Like
yeah, I'm just saying like we just heard about echoes and she's whacking away on trees like. I don't know.
I think she's being louder than she thinks.
She hadn't gotten caught yet, so.
So then she doesn't know what to do, and she's like, well, I'm here. I should pray. Right?
Well, she sees the werewood, thinks of Ned, and how Ned would sit at the bottom, and she wishes she was at Winterfell because he'd be there, maybe praying. And she's like, all right, like, maybe I should go pray too.
And the face on this one, it's carved into it. She notes.
Scary.
Yeah, weird looking.
Looks like it's
terrible, full of hate.
So she prays, help me, you old gods, silently. Help me get those men out of the dungeon so we can kill Amory and bring me home to Winterfell. Make me a water dancer and a wolf and not afraid again, ever.
She's like, screw this. You guys didn't help me anyway.
The first half of that comes through, right? Like, Armory's dead by the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
Pretty gruesome way. So she's not home in Winterfell, and it doesn't look like there's a super fast track to that, but she's way closer at the end of the chapter than she was at the beginning of the chapter, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So then she starts thinking, like, well, that was quick. When Ned would pray, he would take way longer than that. Like, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Like, do I need to pray out loud?
But then she remembered that shit didn't work anyway.
Yeah, you didn't help him anyway. What the fuck?
Here he is dead.
Why'd he pray all this time?
She's saying that out loud.
Yeah, she's yelling.
She starts to scold the tree. You should have saved him. He prayed to you all the time. I don't care if you help me or not. I don't think you could, even if you wanted to. And then this is where Jockin shows up. Gods are not mocked, girl.
It freaks her out. She
does.
Even for hearing, like, you know, being on edge, being pro at spotting people, she misses Jockin.
Yeah. And
slipped through her defenses.
And she's so surprised, too. She just asks every question she's ever thought about the guy. Without an answer. There were way too many questions to even keep track.
How'd you know I was here? He says he sees, a man hears, a man knows. And then, how'd you make the dog kill Weiss? Did you call Rorg and bite her up from hell? Is Jack and Hagar your true name? And he says...
Men have many names. Just like a weasel and Ari and Arya.
So here's where he says her real name. He says, basically he calls her out. I know who you are.
Yep.
Did Gendry tell you?
I feel like there's enough information from what she just screamed at this tree, and if he's been paying attention,
that she just told him,
that she could have just told him just there. Yeah,
you should have
saved him. He prayed to you all the time. I don't care if you help me or not. Like that's basically all she says.
That's some people would like if you go to church, right?
You should have saved him. You prayed all the time
from King's Landing with him. She's yelling about her dad.
No,
who prayed
I don't
to the
think.
old
I don't
gods,
think so. There's
who
not
was just
even
publicly executed.
No. How many people have died on the road alone? There's not enough. There's not enough evidence.
There's
to
a
put Ned
goddamn
Stark
war
with this,
going on.
with
All
this-
out war going
yeah.
on.
They literally.
But I'm saying Arya
I know
wouldn't know
what you're
that
saying,
her
Nelson.
dad died anywhere else. And I'm not saying like just from this. He's clearly been paying attention to her already.
I know what you're saying. I'm not against it.
Why couldn't her dad die in the beginning of their King's Landing trip?
So hold on.
Right,
You
as she
guys-
joined. Wait, no. Let me finish. Once in my life, let me finish. Why couldn't her dad have died as she was joining this Night's Watch trip?
How would you know?
Because he was a baker and she was living with him and he died. And he was like, fuck, I don't have anything else. Let me join the Night's Watch.
Sure, but what I'm saying is the one thing she says is you prayed to the old gods. Most people in King's Landing do not pray to old gods. Like
this
very
guy
very
did.
few.
This guy did. What if it was
And again, I'm not saying just this. I'm saying this compiled with other things that he would have seen. And what I'm saying,
there was a
my
lot of
question to you
Northmen
then
down there.
is,
There's a lot of Northmen down
if
there.
that's not how he knew, then how does he know? How long has he known?
A man knows. This
man
dude
knows.
just made a dog that was raised by somebody kill somebody else, and you think he might not have other ways?
I try to lean. Again, there's a lot of people will say
There's
that
not
just
enough
like,
evidence.
There's
You can't tell me
magic-y
that.
stuff about Jack, and I try and lean. I mean, I think that's kind of hard to doubt.
He's
later in
going
the
to
chapter.
change his face in about 15 minutes. We're going to be talking about how this man changes his face.
But I try to think that it's not magic when at all possible. I mean, sometimes
There's
you
not
can't
enough.
melt
There's
something
not
into a
enough.
shadow baby. There's clearly magic, and there's dragons, right? But I try to not use that unless we have to. So if there's a reason, if there's some other cool reason why he could figure it out, I think that's cool.
I think if this was Rob that figured out somebody's name, I'd be like, oh, he used some clues somewhere around the way. This dude has shown that he has weird abilities.
Let me just say this too. Even if he figures out that she is a northern girl that was in King's Landing, there was still about 100 Northmen that died in King's Landing
Okay,
with
fair.
Ned.
Fair.
So,
Fair. That's fair.
thank you.
I think the other thing is she did go by Ari at first, right? So I mean, if he knew Arya Stark was a person,
Yeah, her first name wasn't a big deal.
I mean, she pretty much
The
just-
one thing
yeah.
that I was going to say, and again, we had chapters from Ned and never heard anything about this, but this is something that people talk about in like theories is Ned was in the Black Cells, right? Like that's where they threw him.
Yeah.
Yoren
Yeah.
got these guys from the Black Cells.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that they were like in neighboring cells and were able to talk? I think there's a chapter where Varys comes and talks to Ned in the Black Cells and is
For
saying
sure.
like some important stuff that he probably wouldn't say if like Jack and Biter and Warg were within earshot. So that
Yeah.
kind of hints against it. But it's
Yeah.
something that people like bring up, like when people say, "How does he know this?"
but it's also no. I mean, he never thought those people would be coming out of the Black Cells either, though.
Didn't Varys say while he was in the Black Cell, like no one's seen Arya yet? Like Arya was out running.
Probably, yeah.
So I'm kind of helping your point there. But
Again, and I'm saying this is nobody knows, and we'll never know. We don't get more information on what happened when then the Black Cells, right?
Yeah.
That's done and dusted. But it's something that people bring up. They both came from the same spot, so is there a chance? I will say a step further. Maybe not. I'll wait. I'll wait a little.
Well, this is where she then does her 3 wishes thing, right? You were talking about she said, "I need you need to help me get these people out.
kill
That's my
them
last-
all. Kill all the
my
guards.
last name.
Yep.
Or my last name for my list is these guards because they'll be free." And then he said, "Oh nope, you've already claimed 2. You only get 1 more kill."
Name one guard and he'll be dead very
She's just
shortly.
like, no, we both know that's not going to work.
It's not good enough. Yep.
He's like, I need you to save the Northmen, just like I saved you. Let's go back to how this all started.
Good point. Good point.
It is a good point, but he basically is trying to make good on this already.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on,
His deal
on their
is-
contract is you're 2/3 saved already, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna save 1/3 of these guys, maybe. Like if she's trying to play that game,
I don't think he really cares. I don't think he really cares about that she saved him. He more or less cares that you stole 3 lives and 3 lives need to be dead now.
well, here's
Yeah.
the real thing. Robert Glover now owes Jack and Nagar 100 lives, right? Like so what happened before was Arya saved Jaqen, and whoever was just saved owed the other person the number of lives that were saved. They just saved Robet, so now does Robet
say
Jack in 100 lives?
I'm gonna say no, Nels, because they were already in the works of killing people.
Yeah, this was going to happen anyway, right?
Yeah, okay.
That's like the best part about this.
I can see that as a loophole. I was just thinking like per Jockin's religion, if it's like a big thing where like if your life is
there's no need
saved,
for loophole. These guys weren't sentenced to death.
I know.
He was dying in a burning, like in a fire that she saved him.
Right.
These guys are just in a jail cell. Anyway, she convinces him to promise that he will kill anybody she names, even his own dad.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like, all right, like confirming, like, is this plan gonna work?
We've talked about this several times too. Yeah. Like, how would that work if I named Joffrey?
Like, what about Tywin? What about everybody else? Is there anybody too important that you won't do it for me? He said, no, it might take me a while.
Yep.
1 foot at a time, but I'll get there.
What's his word? I don't fly?
Yeah, this was a great line here.
Speak the name and death will come. On the morrow, on the turn of the moon, a year from this day, it will come. A man does not fly like a bird, but 1 foot moves, and then another, and one day a man is there, and a king dies.
Yeah. He's like, I'm fucking somebody up for you. Don't worry. It might take me a little bit, but I got it. And then she says, well, Jockin.
Bang!
Bam! Oh, he freaks too. He wasn't ready for that one.
She's like, he looks more surprised than he did when he was burning, like about to burn to death in that fucking cage. Now he's more flustered now. And she's like, you're joking. He's like, you're joking, right?
It's kind of confusing.
But then he pulled out a knife.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No, let's talk about the knife.
I mean, that was it.
Like, what was the knife for? What was the knife for?
He was like going to do it. Right?
Well, she doesn't know if it's for her or him, but she thinks like he seems pretty committed to this.
Which gets confusing at the end when he's like, all right, time for a man to die. And like
he dies, and you're talking about how like at the end of the chapter, he kind of says that Jack and like that person dies anyway when he changes his face.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like, why did he have to die then if you...
He could have just genie tricked her. The classic old genie trick. Snap your face.
Because no, he couldn't have. Because he believes so much that this third person needs to die and it needs to come from Arya.
No, what I'm saying is like, all right, she names Jack and he kills Jacking with his face swap.
Yeah, I don't think that gives the gods the soul that they demand.
You don't think that would count?
Oh, gotcha. You're kind of saying, Jeff, why doesn't a face swap count right now?
Yeah, if he just kills his identity, why doesn't that count?
And my point, I guess, what goes along with what you're saying, Kyle, is why do you even need to do the face swap thing if the soul is what matters? That's the kind of way I take it. Like, there's no point for this face swap. Well, I think when he does it, and we'll get to it later, I think he says, like, I got shit to do. He says, like, a man has duties or something like that. So he's like, I got other shit going on. I was basically here to give you 3 deaths. That's done now. Yeah. Now
I need to go elsewhere.
Going in disguise and getting the fuck out of here. Yeah, it's kind of how I take the end of it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
yeah,
agree.
We'll see when we get there.
He tries to stop her real quick by saying, I'm your only friend. Like, you can't kill me. You'd be friendless.
And she's like, you're not a real friend. Like, a friend would help. You. Basically saying, which kind of is like, if he's saying that like Gendry and Hot Pie aren't your friends.
She's friendless right now. She admits to being friendless.
But I'm saying if those two aren't your friends, and her argument is a friend would help, those two aren't helping. So if she's saying like, if you want to be my friend, you got to help me. That's what would separate you from those fucking two.
All right, will you give me another name?
She's like, fine, if you do it. And he's like, all right, let's do it. And she's like, damn, we're hopping through this shit. and he's basically like, I'm not going to sleep until you unname me. So like Kyle's saying, he takes this shit serious. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think he has to pay for with the soul. And that's what these other people are. Or not a soul, but a body, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
What Miriam Dor tell Danny?
1 for 1, pretty much.
Only death may pay for life, something like that, right? So yeah, if you're doing some weird magic shit, someone's got to be paying on the other end.
All right, so Arya and Jack start walking through the castle, and one last time he's like, please unname me. This is going to get super bloody. She's like, nope, help me.
That quote right there is kind of what makes me think like earlier when he pulled out the knife and she's like, I don't know what he's going to do with that. And like Kyle and I feel like we've already been saying like, it's like pretty obvious he's committed to this. Like he was gonna kill himself if she didn't name him, and like this right here kind of makes me think like, yeah, he wasn't gonna kill her back there. He would have like actually just killed herself if she said no, I'm not gonna name you.
I agree. All right, but he's like, you need to obey me, and I'll help you.
Yeah, like, it's gonna be done quick, bang, bang, bang. If I say something, if I tell you to jump, you ask how high, type thing.
Yeah, and he's like, go to the kitchens. We need broth. And that's all he said. Wait till I return.
But he says it's so weird. He says a man will find you or something. So I was like, who's coming? And then I remember that he says that every fucking time he's talking about himself.
Kyle, do you know why he just goes a man? Why he just says a man?
Because he changes so much, right?
So he doesn't have to remember his own name.
I think he knows his name and his identity, but I think it's just kind of the way he...
I'm a man.
I mean, it'll make it easier for Arya, right? When later she has a little name problem. I just go by a girl.
Man.
All right, so she gets there. The head chef's like, "Why the hell are you here, Weasel?" And she's like, "I was sent here. They need broth." And he's like, "Fuck them and their broth.
What do you think those kettles over there are? We're working on it.
Got some onions in there. They need to simmer."
This guy's clearly pissed off. He's been waking up.
Yeah.
Right? He kind of expresses that. He's been woken
now
up.
He's got to fucking cook, for
he's got to feed all of Vargo Hote. Yep.
Yeah. Go get Pia. We need her to start serving.
Yep.
Meanwhile, she's having the time of her life.
Yep. She's having the time of her life with some of the bloody mummers who had just returned, or at least a bloody mummer who had just returned. And I did look earlier. Pia has been mentioned earlier. Basically, she had been mentioned as Arya thought of her as a girl who'd been working her way through every night in the Lannister army.
Oh.
Is what Arya had thought previously. Yeah. So just Pia being Pia. And Arya's like, "We need butter. I'm not helping. I got shit to do. You better get that shit together or Vargo's going to cut your feet off." She dips back and gets back and just waits for the broth to boil.
Yeah.
She doesn't give a shit about the broth. She waits for Jackson to show up.
This is where I have her thinking about the captives again.
It is, yeah. This is when she notices none of them had their hands or feet chopped off. Gotcha. I don't think she did at the beginning, but she did when they were walking. She did notice they were all very injured and bloody and just not looking good.
And after she threatens Pia with like "you're going to get your feet cut off," that kind of reminds her. Yep.
All right, so in come Rourke Biter and followed up by Jaqen, demanding for the broth. And the cook's like,
"Fuck,
stop.
The demons are here."
Yeah, so kind of to your point, Kyle, I was going to say it earlier, but like, it is weird how, like, what did Jaqen say to these two to get them on board? Like, they don't seem to like Arya. Like, what the they're just terrified of this guy? That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Unless they're actually demons. Or some weird magic shit's going on with these guys. Like, how the fuck did Jaqen convince them, like, "Oh, we're just going to spring these prisoners. Like, we're going to do it.
And then you're going to be free.
Well, let's be, like, it was already going to happen, right? Like,
so I was thinking about this too, Jeff. If Jaqen is magical, or I'm thinking more just really observant, but say magical, is there a chance that Jaqen, like, knew that they were going to...
I'm going to say Jaqen knew Vargo was going to do it. Maybe he observed it. Maybe it was magic. I don't know. And he told Rogan Biter, "Hey, the bloody mummers are going to turn. Like, you better turn or you're going to die," type thing.
I thought that. And there's a line that when that happens that makes me not think so. It's when Robert Glover comes out. He says, "Are you guys Vargo's men?" Rourke just starts laughing, like, hysterically. It makes me think that if he would have known about it ahead of time.
No, he said was the broth Vargo's idea. And that's when he starts laughing.
Well, hang on. Let's get there when we get there.
Yeah, sorry.
But no. So I think, like, what Jeff's saying is like, so the plan for the Brave Companions was always to take over the Harrenhal, right?
Yeah.
At least Vargo's plan.
Well, they take it away and then take it over.
Maybe not take over, but like help the next guy take it over. The people they're changing sides because they think they have a better chance of winning, right?
Sure.
Highest bidder type thing.
Playing the odds, yeah, exactly. Highest bidder. We don't know yet. But so if that was always the plan, then Rourke and Biter were already always on this side. It's just when it was happening and how it was happening.
No, Rourke and Biter. Remember, Rourke and Biter and Jaqen are Amory's men. They switched sides when Amory attacked Yoren the first time. So these guys are not Brave Companions.
Yep, you're right.
When he says, "Are you guys Brave Companions?" Rourke says, "We are now." That's Rourke's. Yeah, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but
so that was my misconception and my confusion was I thought they were Brave Companions, but you're right. They were Amory's men.
Why would Rogue and Biter do it if they didn't know Hote was helping these? Because he knew Hote was helping these prisoners get away.
It must be a jogging thing that they're afraid of him.
It's that, but again, I think there's evidence. Whatever is said later makes me think that's not true.
I
The
don't,
only other thing
I
that
don't
is
think
logical
Jockin scared these guys into doing it, though.
That's the only other thing that I can think is, and we'll see when we read it, Jeff, if you think the same thing that I did. But I think there's a line later that'll make you think that Rourke didn't know.
All right, let's get there.
Yeah.
Let's get there. Yeah. All right, so they have 4 things of broth. She's helping Jackin carry it. The one dude's strong as fuck, carrying 2.
Yeah, I think that's Rourke,
burning
right?
the fuck out of his hands too.
He also grabbed a rabbit off the spit and just bit into it with his bare hands right when he walks into the kitchen.
He just doesn't even care.
Yeah. So they get down to the dungeons. Everyone's like smelling the food or the broth. I guess it's not even that good. It's like water, chicken stock.
It smells good,
Chicken
smells
stock
like
and
boiling
onion.
vegetables and stuff. Probably smells good.
Well, I mean, if you're a prisoner, for sure.
Well, at first, the guards are happy about it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's soup. Somebody brought you soup.
And basically, they bring him down there, and somebody jokes that Rourke's the ugliest kitchen wench they've ever seen, right? Because Rourke doesn't even have a fucking nose. And he tells him, he asks him what's in the pot, and Rourke tells him his cock and balls are in the pot, and he's like, you want it or not? So they all start coming to the table. They weren't all at the table, but some of them were. They all start coming closer to the table. Mm-hmm. And one starts complaining, like, we need spoons and bowls. How are we going to eat this? And Rourke says, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Rourke heaved the scalding hot broth across the table, full in their faces. Jackin guarded the same. Biter threw his kettles too, swinging them underarm, so they spun across the dungeon, raining soup. One caught the captain in the middle of the temple as he tried to rise. He went down like a sack of sand and lay still. The rest were screaming in agony, praying, or trying to crawl off. Arya pressed back against the wall as Rourke began to cut throats. Biter preferred to grab men behind the head and under the chin and crack their necks with a single twist of his huge pale hands. Only one of the guards managed to get a blade out. Jackin danced away from his slash, drew his own sword, drove the man back into a corner with a flurry of blows, and killed him with a thrust to his heart. The Larathi brought the blade to Arya, still red with heart's blood, and wiped it clean on the front of her shift. A girl should be bloody too. This is her work. So I read that because I was trying to figure out the frag count. There's 8 kills that happen here, and we got 3 people to divvy them out between Jackin, Rourke, Biter, and...
It's hard.
Seems like Jackin only got 1.
Evenly. I would say Jackin gets 1, the others get...
3.5.
3 and 4.
Biter says, I have at least 3 for Biter and at least 2 for Rourke, because it says that multiple burning men they each kill multiple burning men that are on the floor. One slits throats, which is multiple. One breaks necks, which is multiple. And Biter also hits one kills a captain by hitting him with the pot. So Biter got 1 from the initial throw. So
I say you give 4 and 3.
4, 3, and 1. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
This is an unofficial count anyway. So.
Yeah.
All right. They free the Northmen, and they don't look as injured anymore.
So this is when we really find out who it is. I think I said it already. His name's Robert Glover. I'm sure I think we probably heard of him before. Yeah, multiple appearances.
I believe so.
He appeared 3 times in Game of Thrones. This is the next time. Yeah.
All right. So he comes out. It's well done. I'm Robert Glover, my lord.
So the captains come out, or the captives come out. They loot all the bodies.
Loot up, run out. I think they keep running. No, or like they grab a weapon and start. They darted up the steps with steel in hand.
Yeah, the ones in front grabbed weapons and kept going, and the ones behind just went afterwards. Yeah, and this is where Arya says they look way less injured, right?
Yeah. So then he says, "This is the suit. That was clever."
And look, from what my notes say, Jeff's right. It says Glover tells him the soup plan was clever, didn't expect it, asked if it was Hote's idea, and that's where Rourke laughs.
Was it Lord Hote's idea? Rourke began to laugh. So
he laughed so hard that snot flew out of his nose.
So my point, Jeff, is you're right that it's weird because he could be laughing about the soup thing. But this is the first time that there's any indication that like Vargo was going to set these guys free.
Yeah, and this is Rourke going, oh fuck, man, these guys were already free anyway.
So why would Rourke just go kill these guards then?
That's what I'm saying. He has to be afraid of
Jackin.
He's like, you do this or you're dead, basically. And he's like, all right, deal. Again, he did spend we don't know how long, but he was in the black cells with Jackin too, so or maybe Jackin like had talked Yoren into taking them too long as well, and he freed him that way, and they owe him. Gotcha. Yoren wasn't going to take him.
I mean, like there's a bunch of stuff here that I guess could be a play. I don't
think these guys are of the same religion as Jackin, so I don't think they're down with we owe this girl something, right? That doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah, but when you feel like you owed somebody that fucking got you out of the black cell in the bottom of the king's castle.
Yes. You're saying if Jackin somehow
got me off of death row, solitary confinement, like I'll pay you back here.
These two sound like the worst type of men. The one guy was literally like, I'm
Fucking
gonna
bloody to Arya, who just saved his
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
So, like, to your point, if Rourke did feel like he would owe Jaqen something, you would think he would feel like he owed Arya a little bit of something. She literally is the one that saved them. She brought them an axe.
I don't know though. She's a little girl. This is a dude. I don't know.
I think the only explanation is Rourke was afraid of Jaqen, and that's how he convinced them.
It's very possible that he. Well, and didn't she at one point say that he was the scariest of them all, even though she didn't really understand why?
Something about him was like maybe not scariest, but like there was something off. Yeah.
Most intimidating, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. I guess when he says the line, "We are now," I just didn't get it to the like, haha, I guess we are now. Like he had laughed because
yeah, and again, that's them, like the men putting together, like, oh fuck, we did this for nothing, and kind of what Jaqen says later, like, you don't understand what just happened. She's like, yes, I do, but she thinks like I don't understand. That's why he has to explain it to her. They got it immediately when they're like, oh, Vargo did this, and they're like, oh my god, because they know there's like a difference. There's like Amory's men and Vargo's men. Like even to us, it's hard to see.
Why would Amory's men kill his own men?
Exactly, which is why they are confused.
Well, they're also not.
Or they were just freeing this men for nobody, and they were just acting for Jaqen. That's the third option.
What do you mean?
They're not like there was an option that they did it for Vargo. They were already working with Vargo. They did it because they were scared of Jaqen or owed Jaqen, whatever reason for Jaqen. And the third one was Amory wanted to kill his own men. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. So
I'm saying that I think they had to be scared of Jaqen. Jaqen somehow convinced them on very short notice to do this.
Or did he rabid dog them to work for him?
He could have Jedi mind tricked them. Yeah.
Okay. I don't hate that idea either. Whatever the fuck Jaqen's. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jaqen, whatever, whether it's magical or some just like these guys are terrified of him. Something weird is why. There's something weird going on with why these guys are like that. Okay, with helping Jaqen here.
All right, we can all agree. So Jaqen starts to introduce everybody. Rourke, Biter's like eating somebody's face now.
Fingers, I think.
So it's like, okay, fingers. You're like, all right, well, you know, he's Biter for this reason. And before he can mention Arya, she pops out.
Didn't Theon say that like Ironborn cut off fingers to get at rings a lot?
Yep.
Maybe Arya's just confused and like sees him biting off fingers and he's not actually eating them. He's just trying to get at the rings, but she thinks he's eating them.
It's possible
because he does, like George, like Bran thought Jaime and Cersei were wrestling, right? Like he makes kids see things a little differently.
Yeah, I mean, is this really the time to be looting rings off the fingers?
Yeah, good point. And Biter is crazy, so I'm not saying he's not eating fingers.
All right. So Arya pops up and doesn't want Rourke and Biter to find out who she is. Yep, she's Weasel.
When they start giving out names.
Well, the best part though is back to what you were saying just a second ago. Is that she's like, well, the other two, they're Rourke and Biter. You can figure out who's who. You got this. Like,
not too hard. So they get up. There's a lot of fighting going on, and this is when Jaqen, we've said it a couple times, like ask her if she truly understands what happened. She's like, yes, of course, and he probably just sees like she probably doesn't understand.
She can see on his face that she didn't believe it. And he says, a goat has no loyalty. Soon a wolf banner is raised here, I think. But first, a man would hear a certain name unsaid. So Arya tries to push her luck.
What if Arya just said no? What if I'm not on... nope, I decided not to unname you. Just kill yourself.
I don't know.
I mean, she has some honor here. She's like, yes, you paid...
I was going to say that I don't think then that would be Arya.
Yeah, because she... Like, what's he? She asked him to kill more people, or can I kill one more?
She just. Well, do I still get the third name if I take yours off the list?
And he's like,
no. Greedy. Look at all these dead people.
He's like, you got a third, you got a fourth, you got a fifth, you got a sixth, you got a seventh.
And he's like, the debt is paid, and she's like, okay, fine, the debt is paid.
And this is where it's like, all right, time for a man to die. But like, she's like, what the fuck? Like, a god has his due, and now a man must die.
A strange smile touched the lips of Jaqen Hagar.
Die?
She said, confused. What did he mean?
But I hadn't said the name. You don't need to die now.
I do. My time is done.
Jaqen passed a hand down his face from forehead to chin, and where it went, he changed. His cheeks grew fuller, his eyes closer, his nose hooked. A scar appeared on his right cheek where no scar had been before, and when he shook his head, his long straight hair, half red and half white, dissolved away to reveal a cap of tight black curls. Arya's mouth hung open.
Who are you?
She whispered, too astonished to be afraid.
How did you do that? Was it hard?
He grinned, revealing a shiny gold tooth.
No harder than taking a new name, if you know the way.
Show me.
So one thing I wondered was like, did you know about
pretty wild magic, Kyle? No.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. Like, what did I know about you?
One thing I wondered was, did you know about you had some awareness of the show?
Be careful.
Did you know this was a thing that happened like this?
No.
That there's a person that can change faces?
No.
All right, cool. Moving on. So,
anything else to say about it?
Well, so based on the conversation later, it sounds like there's probably more of him, or more like him, or at least they're well known in their city, Bravos.
What do you mean?
yeah. And they'll know where to take you.
Well, he's like, give this coin to anybody in Bravos or anybody from Bravos, say these words, and they'll know exactly who I am.
Yep. And so she gives her the coin, right? Well, she says like, all right, if you want to learn, you got to come with me.
I like how she bites it too. Like she's like
gotta
11.
see if it's real.
Like you do that to test
Yeah.
gold, right? Like,
Can you really test? Like, can you really feel gold being like super soft? Like,
10.
I know it's soft, but like people bite it. Do you really?
I don't know, but I don't think it's useful to do anything except for gold, right? Like this coin obviously is not gold. Like I think Arya's just going through the motions, trying to look official here.
She's seen people do that before, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what happens when somebody hands you money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of like you were mentioning a little bit of it. He kind of says like, you can come with me right now.
Come with me right now.
Yeah, but we gotta
I'll
go
teach you.
far. It's pretty much what he says.
And she's like, I'm trying to go home. Like, what you just did was badass as fuck. I want to be able to do that shit, but I gotta go home first.
I gotta get to Winterville. He's like, all right, Arya Stark. I'll see you
Coin
later.
comes in, yeah, he gives him a ascending stone, kind of, Valar Morghulis.
Valar Morghulis. Pretty good, Kyle. Valar Morghulis.
And it's weird. I like how he says that. I like how he's kind of. It seems like he's kind of almost offended when he gives her the coin. He's like, "Can I buy a horse with it?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Well, what good is it then?" He's like, "As well ask what good is life? What good is death? If the day comes when you find me again, give that coin to any man from Bravos and say these words, Valar Morghulis." So yeah, but she's like, "What good is it if I can't buy a horse?" And he's like, "Come on. There's more things in the world than just horses."
Nope, need a horse.
So she repeats it back. She's learning the word.
Yep. Adds it to her list at the end.
People are dying in the background.
She's okay with it.
Yeah, it's still the same fight, right? It's the Northmen taking over the castle.
Yeah, and she begs him not to go, and when she does that, she calls him Jaqen, and he tells her that Jaqen is as dead as Ari, and that he has promises to keep. Right? Is that what I was referring to earlier? He doesn't say he has a duty. He says he has promises to keep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her to say the word again. She does, and that's it. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like
Jaqen.
he has more killing to do, which is really strange. Like, why was he here in the first place if his first promise... What was his first promise? Maybe it was something else, and he got kind of wrapped up in between, and she was like the middle... Like she was a side quest, not the original job.
I will say a lot of people talk about this. So like, what was Jaqen doing? How did he end up in the black cells?
In the black cells.
Like, he
I mean, he might have done
seen
something crazy to kill somebody, but he got caught somehow.
So, but one thing people think, so that's it, right? People say, was he just doing something super crazy, super killing somebody, or was like the thing that people don't like about that is we've seen this dude do some crazy shit, like. Maybe crazier shit, like up there with Melisandre, right? Like maybe number two behind what the shit going. Like, how did this guy get caught by like whoever's in charge of? You know what I mean?
The numbnuts, Kingsguard, or Gold Cloaks.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, good point.
It's not that that's impossible, and again, like it's we don't.
I mean, but if it was kill some high profile person and the only chance he had was in front of somebody, I don't know. You're right. That seems out of.
Is he the one who put the Tears Elise in?
Yeah, John Arryn. That's what I was going to say. But
if you got caught for that, then like when Ned's like, who killed John Arryn, like it would have been the guy we got in the black cell. Done and dusted.
Yeah, Pink Eye comes in, tells him new Lord from the North will be here soon, and there's more work to do, so don't stop or I'll whip you again. Mummers were looting and dragging the dead out to a fire. One joked around with two heads saying,
"What did you die of?"
Weasel soup.
Yeah.
And then Bolton walks in and his squire announces him.
Yep.
I think we've seen him before, obviously. Right?
Yeah, he was
in
up
Rob's
at
council and shit. Rourke and Biter are brought up because they were the first ones to. They were part of. Right, Jaqen's gone, so these two are the only ones there that helped them escape. Which kind of is like, if they. This is kind of my point to like, they were already Hope men because they, why wouldn't two other of. I think they already switched because Hope would have had two other men or had other men to do their job.
He did. Sure, they just didn't. Their plan didn't get kicked off as fast.
I don't believe that. Yeah. I don't believe that.
This all happened like as soon as these guys came in. She talks to Gendry. She talks to Vargo, and then they're Jaqen, not Vargo.
Yeah, it's the same night. It's been like 3 hours. Like it's not been like a day. It's been 3 hours since these guys got put down there.
It's like, hey, let's take a nap. We'll regroup in the morning.
And to Jeff's point, like it might have been planned for this night because they are getting people drunk. Like there's parties going on around the castle, right? We know that,
in full. Like Rourke and Biter have been in the castle as Armory's men, sure, but they weren't. They're no different than a goat. They're not loyal either. They could have been switched. They could have been like rats. They could have been rats.
But Vargo hasn't been in the castle.
But he was in the castle. Okay. So you're Rourke and Biter, and you're around there, like, all right, like, hey, like, once you guys, like, we'll be on your side, but we'll fake as Amory's men right now. Like, why couldn't that have been a thing?
I get that, but there's a lot of pre-planning that's taking place like 2 weeks ago.
There's a lot of pre-planning for them to come back in 3 hours, and
I just get for what you're saying. There's pre-planning from like weeks ago, from like the last time Vargo was in the castle, at least. Which at that point, I assume he knew nothing about. I mean. Who knows? But I'm guessing like whenever he went out, so when Vargo was sent out, he was sent out to go fight Roose on the Trident.
Yeah. Did he think he was coming back at that point?
Like at that point, did he already know?
Did this plan exist? Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's not far fetched.
If he showed up and thought the North would win, and there's words of the North winning across the fucking Riverlands.
And I think a bigger thing too is he just doesn't like Armory, and him and Armory are both now in the same castle, and Armory was giving command, not him.
Working for the same person.
Amory, whatever. And he and Amory was giving command, not him. Right, which is another thing. So maybe he's just like, fuck this, I'm gonna be the one in charge of this castle. When he's not. I mean,
and kind of to the point of Rourke and Biter maybe doing the same highest bidder type of thing. They're like, all right, well, like let's just play out either one until we see who actually wins.
I don't think they had anything to do with this plan. That's my perspective.
That's what I believe. I believe it.
I never thought about it. I don't believe it, but I don't think it's impossible. I'll say that.
I don't think it's impossible. I think it's the least likely option.
Like you said, we're not going to learn. Again. So.
I think based on what we know about how fucking crazy shit Jaqen does, it's more likely that they're just terrified of Jaqen than it is that all was in motion. But I will say, I don't think that's impossible.
So and another reason for Vargo to switch sides, and I didn't say so, but like he seems kind of like Roose, right? A little bit.
What do you mean? He's from across the narrow sea.
Vargo, like just brutal, doesn't give a shit, torture people, cut off arms and legs. Roose is kind of a piece of shit. His family sucks. Like we know that.
We don't really know much about Roose. We know his bastard son sucks.
He's like cool that his bastard got killed. Like he's like, yeah, that's fine, great news.
Suck.
Yeah, I know, but I mean that's what I'm saying though. Like I mean, he kind of seems like he's also the flayed man. Is their
correct?
Like they have what's their castle?
Gotta get rid of the bad blood.
Fort. Like I feel like that's all Vargo, right up Vargo's alley.
100%. And I'm not saying he's a super great guy. I'm just saying we don't really know too much about Roose. He was basically been on his own.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Green Fork happened. He's been on his own since then.
But I guess what I'm saying though is that like you were like, why would he switch sides to not be in charge still? But I think he likes this leader more. And like, you know, like he's like, this is a guy I can get behind. It's just motive for the side switch. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I 100% agree with that. I think I'm just more on the side of it's not hard to like a leader more than he liked Amory because he fucking hates Amory.
Yeah, true.
So,
all right, Rourke and Biter are introduced, and then Shagwell spots Arya and brings her out as the one who made the weasel soup.
Yeah, it is interesting that Arya is like, why are Rourke and Biter still here? Like she thought that they would have dipped out, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of like the whole if they were demons that
they
would brought up from hell, they'd have been with him.
Yeah. Bolton's just like, all right, like, what's your actual name? Like, Weasel's not a name. She struggles to pick one.
He also, we talk about this all the time. He's a big my lord guy.
Yeah.
Like, don't you fucking forget the my lord at the end of every sentence, or I'm gonna remind you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so the conversation starts off. He asks her like, "How old are you?" She's like 10. He says 10, my lord. He has a thin smile and says, do you like animals? She says, some kinds, my lord. And he says, but not lions nor manticores, it would seem, or something like that.
Yeah.
So manticore is the Lord's
Amory,
so,
yeah.
What's a manticore again?
Lion with
The
wings?
scorpion. Those are vastly different. One of us is going to be really wrong here. If it's me, I'm cutting it out.
A lion with wings is
Griffinish, I think. I think it's similar to that.
A legendary animal having the head of a man, often with horns, the body of a lion, the tail of a dragon or scorpion.
well, that's a
Kinda
lot.
right.
You were close.
This also has wings, even though it doesn't say that anywhere.
Huh.
The pictures have wings.
Interesting. I had never heard of a manticore. I don't think.
What is a griffin then?
A griffin is an eagle head, lion body.
Yeah, and so like some of those are also just different cultures' names for the same thing as well. Like it's similar beast.
I just googled manticore versus griffin to try and like just get a definition difference, and I get a ton of pictures of manticores and griffins fighting. So
Who's
it
winning?
that makes me think they're in the same culture or I don't
Something,
know, maybe
whatever.
that's
No, I don't think
more
they are. I just think
recently.
they're comparable beasts, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, so she gives her name Nymeria. She says they call her Nan for short, or her mother did.
So hold on, kind of cool with these names, right? It's using the name of her wolf and
Old Nan.
goes by the nickname of Old Nan, right?
Yeah. And all right, Bolton's like, all right, you scared of blood? You scared of leeches?
Yeah, leeches.
All right, you can show my squire a thing or two because you're not afraid. And he's a little.
Because you gotta suck the fucking. You gotta put leeches on me all the time. Is what he says to her, pretty much.
Yeah. Leeches are the secret to a long life.
I'm expecting you to handle leeches for me. Like, gross.
She was like, fine. She knew better than to say that she preferred the stables this time. Because that's what she said the first time. That's how she got put in
Yeah, they
these.
fucked her. So she moved up, right? All this, she moved on up.
Now she's a Lord's cupbearer.
Yeah.
And the last thing is, we'll vote changes the banners to the Dreadfort and Direwolf of the Starks, and then they're up on the Overwatch. I don't know if it was an actual thing. Is it an Overwatch or
Ramparts.
Ramparts? And she's serving Bolton and Hote, and they watch naked Lorch get thrown into the bear pit.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
and she thinks that the bear's all in black, just like Yorn was.
It's a full circle. Came full circle.
Old Nan's filling Roose Bolton's cup and didn't spill a drop. That's how the chapter ends, something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So big swap here. We got a lot of this from. I mean, we'd heard about what was Bruce basically had promised in the last cat chapter. His lord will have the castle, and he got it basically without losing anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
That we know of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe some of these 100 men died in the fighting, possibly, but less than 100 men died total, right?
We don't know if people had if there was a fight outside first that then they said, yo, hold up, Vargo. Got a better idea.
Yeah. Like
Mhm.
how many people
Yeah.
died before Vargo and Roose got face to face in that meeting or whatever? Yeah, so. But pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah, it was cool.
lot of not info, just stuff. A lot of running around.
My thing is, like, shouldn't Arya be like when she's looking for her name, why is her name not good here?
Yeah.
She's in North Control now.
I feel like that's not the forum to tell that secret.
Out
Okay.
out loud in front of everybody.
In front of everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
earlier she had said she didn't tell Robert Glover just because Rory and Biter were there, but it seemed like it was coming. Like it was going to be.
You're right. And I don't know why. I think maybe she also sees here that it might not be the best time. That's some information she doesn't want out. Maybe she doesn't trust Bolton. Maybe, I don't know, man. That's a good question. Maybe it's just better for the story for her to keep that secret.
Gotcha.
How's Nan as the cupbearer going forward? What's next for Nan?
I don't know. I mean, my guess was that eventually came out here quickly that who she was my original guess, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say the other thing that this kind of, I don't know if there's any predictions for it because we've kind of said for a while, like, oh, what happens if Roose takes Harrenhal and Tywin gets captured in the middle? We've like gone over that. We've kind of pretended that this has already gone through before, so it's kind of just actually come to fruition now. So I don't know if we need to hang up on that too much, but yeah, I think it's a cool chapter.
It
Again,
was.
we're getting kind of more into magic shit. Like, if you think about the magic we got in the first book,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just dragons being born. And that's it, and like that's
it.
and that's not even like super like I guess there's magic. Like she's in that tent dancing.
I
in the
mean, they've
shadows,
been
right?
gone for a long time, and there was
but
There were fossil rocks.
Well, and then what's his name? I can't even think of his name now.
Drago.
Drago. There you go. Yeah, Drago turned into a sunflower.
Well, then he got turned into ashes. But
yeah.
But my point was that like there's been way more, and especially like recently, like the second half of this book almost with like the Melisandre stuff, this stuff.
Definitely. It's definitely picking up the speed.
I mean, we've got shadow babies and a red comet in the air, and
well, the comet hasn't been mentioned in a while now.
Yeah,
hasn't been mentioned in a while.
But is it just like something that's there and they're all used to it at this point? So they're like, yeah, it's there.
It's yesterday's news.
Jeff almost got me on a long tangent there, but I'm going to call it. I'm going to hold that for a different podcast because we're pretty deep into this one. So I think we covered everything, boys. We'll see Kyle in the next one, and we'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler section.
All right. Bye, Kyle.
See you guys. Like, subscribe, join the Discord. See you in the next one.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Bye, Kyle. See you later.
Bye, Kyle.
Thanks, everyone. I don't know what he says, dude. See you next time.
Kyle. See
you later, Kyle. Thanks for knowing you.
See you later, Kyle. What he says. We'll see you next time on Bran. See you later, Kyle. We'll see you next time on Daenerys 4. Guys, what were your hot takes? There's something else that Glow says in there.
Yeah. Fuck.
Bye, Kyle. Bye, Kyle.
Bye. See you later, Kyle.
See you later, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out. Now, on to the spoiler section of...
No. When does he say... See you next time on...
Does he say the next one? Okay. He says...
See you later, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out. Now, on to the spoiler section of...
9.
Arya 9. Boys, what are your hot takes?
It's only a boy now.
Boy, what is your hot take?
Hot takes. Yeah, it's hard because you got to do the singular boy and then multiple takes.
Boy, what are your hot takes? Piece that together, would you? See you later, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out. Now on to the spoiler section of Arya 9. Boy, what are your hot takes?
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything super crazy. One thing I talked to you about already. Let's hit that first.
All right.
There's a character in this that's unnamed that's supposed to marry Arya.
Oh, it's a squire.
Bruce Bolton Squire. That we haven't got his name yet, but I guess in a future Arya chapter we'll find out that his squire is
a Frey, right?
Elmar Frey.
He can't be that high in succession.
I mean, the only thing we hear about him is he's a pussy.
Yeah. I mean, but for him to be a match, like a good enough match for Arya, you think he'd at least have like a shot
He's a first son.
He's the first son of... He's the youngest first son, maybe?
He's probably just down the line, like one of the very younger first sons. So he's a son of Walder Frey.
Okay. So he's got more than I was giving him credit for.
Yep.
Is that all you want to mention?
Yeah, that was it. Basically, again, at some point we'll be able to tell Kyle that, but we didn't even get his name in this chapter. And I haven't checked if we got his name. I think we get his name when Kat basically said, like when basically in the first book, when Kat talks to the Freys, I think they say Elmar Frey is going to be proposed. I'll make sure so that I'm not spoiling Kyle. But if that's true, then whenever they say his name in an Arya chapter in Harrenhal, I think it's fair game to tell Kyle. Just because, again, it doesn't really spoil anything. It's just a funny little, haha, these guys are supposed to be married.
All right. I don't think there's really anything here. Maybe like Pia seeing a ghost. Did Pia actually see Arya? Like, was Arya sneaking around?
I didn't think anything about that. I think people just keep saying that they're seeing ghosts all the time.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting...
Because they're hearing shit and nothing's really there?
I don't remember, and I might be completely wrong about this, but I think the reason they even include Pia at all in this chapter is because in this chapter, Arya goes to Pia to get butter, or milk or whatever, or cheese, and she basically threatens and says, like, Vargo's going to cut your legs off. I think Pia might get her legs cut off. I think she might get something cut off by Vargo. If not, I think I think Jaime, when Jaime comes through Harrenhal, like, I think Qyburn sends Pia to Jaime's room, and then he has this like internal thing, like, I don't want you. I'm loyal to my sister. Like, So I think Pia just like, I think they're trying to, again, know who would remember this. Like, there's no way I remembered this in my first read through that this girl that Arya's talking about is the same person that Jaime has interactions with. But maybe that's why they're trying to mention her a few more times, just to get her in our head a little bit. But yeah, I didn't think too much about the ghost thing.
Qyburn already there? Is Qyburn with the Bloody Mummers right now?
He is.
You would think, right? Or
let me see. They mentioned a bunch of people that came in.
I feel like I remember talking about it with Glow too, or maybe the first time.
Yes, he's already there.
He's already there.
Yeah, when the Bloody Bummers first go to Harrenhal, a bunch of them walk in, and she notes that she sees a fatherly one in Maester's Gray.
Yeah. Okay.
So I noted a bunch of people. I said this one was Qyburn. I guess there's not we don't know this is the same one as Qyburn, but how many fucking Maesters are the fucking Brave Companions? Right?
Yeah.
So it's probably Qyburn.
Yeah.
Yes, he is already at Harrenhal. I didn't think about that, but yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense because, Jamie's going to get let loose soon, so he'll be showing up at Harrenhal before too long.
So then the Bloody Mummers captured Jamie? Like, how's that?
Yeah, that's how he gets to Harrenhal.
Like, him and Brienne are walking, the Bloody Mummers capture them, they take him back. How early does he get his hand chopped off?
He gets his hand cut off before he gets to Harrenhal.
In the trip back to Harrenhal?
Yeah.
Where in the show, it's on the way back to King's Landing, right?
Well, in the show, who picks him up? I think it's the same thing. It's just
it's the same. It's the same. It's before Harrenhal.
There is just no Vargo Hoat in the show, so it's Locke,
right?
Who's just a Roose man, who's just a Roose Bolton guy, which is weird. So I guess talking about the show real quick. You like talking about the show? This is one of the. I think this is one of the very first pretty big differences from, she uses her last name on Jaqen to escape Harrenhal here, Roose Bolton has already,
and she actually escapes.
Jaqen and Roose are in Harrenhal together in the show.
Right.
She's his cupbearer. I think.
No, she's Tywin's cupbearer.
She's also Roose's though. No,
does she get recaptured for Roose?
Isn't she there when Roose is there in the show?
I don't know if Roose is there because they kill Lannister guardsmen for her to escape. So she escapes. They go and get captured by the Brotherhood Without Banners, who then sells Gendry to the Red Woman, and Arya goes with the Hound. She's Tywin's cupbearer in the show, I'm pretty sure. I don't think she meets Roose.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now that you're saying that, I think everything you just said's right.
When does she actually escape? I don't even remember that. What happens that she actually leaves? Does she run into Jamie? And she's gone before Jamie gets there.
So, I mean, you were saying, what happened when I said last time what happened on Arya, you said, wasn't there a letter? That's her second death in the show. So none of her deaths in the show are the same, right? Chiswick isn't even a character in the show.
Right.
She used it on the Tickler, who is a character but doesn't die. Is still alive. She uses 2 on Weiss, who again isn't a character in the show. She uses that on Amory Lorch, who here dies by a bear. Amory Lorch dies by Jaqen hitting him with a poison dart in the back of his neck when he's running into Tywin's room, right? Because he catches Arya with that letter.
Yeah.
And then third one, she kills some guards and Arya escapes. Here, he uses it for Weasel Soup. She is still hardcore in Harrenhal. I think later she has to convince Gendry to steal her sword, and I think she kills a guard to escape. A Northman. She kills a Northman to escape. I think. Wow. So
when does she get Needle back?
Once the Hound captures her, they go into an
inn. In the inn. Yep. So that. Yep. Palantir's got it.
And again, so it's not a huge difference in terms of plot line. Like you're saying, at the end of the day, the same thing happens in the book as in the show. She escapes Harrenhal, gets captured by the Bloody Mummers, or the Brotherhood Without Banners, and from there on, there's some.
I think to Kyle's point, it's super interesting that she didn't out herself to any Northmen yet, and she's not going to, right?
I'm surprised Kyle didn't think about that. I think I had said to you off air too that I think I told you that I think Kyle would predict that she was going to by the next chapter.
And that's what he said.
Kind of what he did. But yeah. I think he's a little bit suspicious because I had to ask him about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought basically exactly what he would think because it doesn't really make sense, and that's why I thought he would have thought about it. It doesn't really make sense why.
There's no sign right now that Roose Bolton is a traitor.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he a traitor? I guess that's something we could talk about. Is he a traitor right now?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either because it doesn't really make sense. If it does, Vargo is getting played out of his mind, right? Because if Roose is already on Tywin's side, and Vargo's like, "Yo, I'll let you take over this castle for Tywin," that's just so.
And why
Bruce
would
is knowing he's betraying Tywin in order to help Tywin? Like,
and Tywin wouldn't be okay with him just killing off 100 Lannister men. Like that's a brigade that they could use. They're just gonna offer up 100 men to join. It doesn't matter if they're gonna be on the same. If they're gonna be on the same side at the end of the day, they already know that. Like they don't need this whole fucking farce. They'll just come in.
I would agree that normally Tywin would not be okay with something like that, but if somehow Tywin knew that like this was the first move in what leads to the Red Wedding, then maybe he's okay with sacrificing 100 Lannisters.
Just to keep the faith of the Northmen.
Again, he'd have to be pretty fucking confident in this plan, right? I think to your point, like a guy like Lannister doesn't just offer up 100 of his men for something like this. But I don't think it's something that Tywin wouldn't do if he was very confident that after this move happened, Red Wedding was certain. Again, I think big part of the Red Wedding is that you need to know that Robb has already fucked over the phrase before the Red Wedding.
Yeah, I don't think he's a traitor yet.
Hold on. There's a lot of evidence that the Westerlings were paid off by Tywin to try and seduce Robb or something like that, right?
They know they just had a smoke show of Jane.
Whether it's, again, Jane or Jean Westerling seems to be not on board with it. She seems to actually love Robb. Whether she was on board with it pre-Robb showing up to the crag, she's like, yes, I'm going to seduce him, then actually fell in love and was no longer okay with all the bad shit that was going to happen, is one debate. Or maybe she actually never knew, and once they were together, that's when Tywin sent money to...
She's not confirmed dead in the show.
She's not dead. She's confirmed alive in the show.
Or in the book. In the
books. In the book, she's confirmed alive. Jamie's sending her back to...
Yeah.
There's some stuff we can talk about that.
With the baby cut out? Baby's still alive.
I don't know if it's a confirmed thing that she's pregnant in the books but there's like hints that she is. I don't know right now.
We're getting off track. Off track. We'll be there soon enough in a couple. All right. Arya heard 2 war horns.
And
okay,
where were you going with this? I think you're going something different with this, and I don't hate it, but
we had just talked about the war horns so much with John's chapter.
Yeah.
Like 2 being
enemies coming. Wildlings. I don't like 1 is Rangers returning. No, 2
isn't 2 Rangers coming because they were waiting for the 3rd to see if they had just 1 horn? Right, because I guess they weren't expecting others, so they just heard 1 and they expecting wildlings, right? So they were waiting for the second one. This is 2 war horns, and it's
1 horn blast signals Night Watch Rider returning, 2 blast wildlings, 3 White Walkers. So kind of to your point, 1 means allies, 2 means bad guys.
Yeah.
And Vargo should be an ally.
Yeah.
But is a bad guy.
Is he a bad guy?
That could be a hint to like.
Is that a hint that he was a bad guy
from the get go? That's not what I was thinking. I had a different thing for this war horn. Arya hears it, 2 war horn blasts, and Hawkeye doesn't. We know once Arya's blind, she starts being able to warg a cat to see things in the room and then react to what the cat sees. Right, almost like a third-person video game where you're seeing your body from a different perspective. That's how she's able to answer questions for the man when he's blind. Is she somehow like kind of like Bran, like maybe hear better when he's warging Summer? Is she like warging like a cat in the yard or something outside, and that's why she can hear this war horn? And
I didn't think much about that. I just thought Hawkeye is just like continuously talking, and it is harder to hear while you talk. But
for sure, for some reason I thought it was
two loud ass war horns like. I don't know. I didn't think much. About her warg ability there.
I just thought it was something that it's weird that one person hears that and one person doesn't hear it. And Arya knew exactly what it was. It wasn't like, oh, what is that? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I didn't hear anything. She's like, oh, that was 2 war horns. How did you not hear that? Like, again, maybe that is to your point. Like, she's trained by Syrio to be observant and to like be able to like observe shit like that. But
yeah, I thought it was a super like John, which could only have been 2 or 3 chapters ago, right? Mm-hmm. And we kind of made a big deal about 2 horns, and I feel like there was another tie-in the next chapter about 2 something. And,
no, I like that. I really like what you're calling out with like the enemies and shit. Right. Next one I got when Arya's in the gods when she climbs up into the trees and she thinks that she's in the kingdom of the leaves.
So you're saying
you know how I like the
Just
anytime I
any
hear
mention
leaf
of
or
leaf,
branch or something like that, it sounds
Uh-huh.
like it could be the children of the forest, like in the kingdom of the leaves and the kingdom of the children of the forest.
I mean, while we're there, this face is weird. And the face being in pain? Like, is the face actually in pain, or like?
So I didn't know anything about this, but I did a little like looking up to see what people thought. And some people think that this means like because this tree has seen so much bad shit, like because it's in Harrenhal, and everyone who's in Harrenhal just like the hair in
Does
the black,
the face
it's roasted
change?
alive.
Does the face change as the
Is it
tree
getting
grows?
like more horrified because it sees horrible shit happening, right?
Yeah.
And what Arya thinks about it is she's like, is this what a god looks like, right? She sees the horrible, like she thinks it's like terrible. Like, is this what a god looks like? I don't know what that means. Like, is the god a bad guy and not a good guy? Which is kind of like, are we thinking of Bloodraven as a good guy all this time, but really he's not a good guy type thing?
I mean, I don't really, just knowing who actually Bloodraven is, or that Bloodraven is the man in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's a good guy. He seems like kind of, I don't know, like he was like a good soldier, I feel like, for the Targaryens, right? Or like he was a good person to have on your side, but I don't know if good was, like, he was banished to the wall for something.
Do you know what he was banished?
I forget. I remember
there was basically right before Egg from Duncan Egg became king. There was a big question of who should become king. Maester Aemon, right? Maester Aemon was like, no, I'm a maester. I'm not going to do it. There was a Blackfire. There had already been a couple Blackfire rebellions, right? There was one before Duncan Egg. We saw the second one in the third Duncan Egg book. I think there was a third one after that. This was like, they were afraid there was going to be a fourth I think it was the fourth Blackfire. It might have been a third Blackfire rebellion. They was afraid there was going to be one. But also at the same time, there was this big question of who's going to be king. At the time, Bloodraven was Hand, just like he was in the Duncan Egg books. And he's like, Blackfire, if you come over here, we'll let you just join this great council, and you can throw your name in the ring. But as soon as he shows up, Bloodraven kills him. And then Egg becomes king, and Egg's like, that's fucked up, bro. You can't do what you did. You
can't just murder somebody.
You can't just say you can come here and then kill him when you destroyed Guest Right. You basically did the Frey shit, right? So
yeah,
you're gone.
So Egg sends him to the wall because that kind of says he's a villain. Like, he's a villain right there.
He's not a great guy, and like he's not a great guy from what we see him in Duncan Egg. But most people think that don't really look at him as a bad guy, right?
Like, was the Bloodraven before him calling him to the tree too, or
we don't really know what happens once he goes to
just
the wall. The one thing
he just escapes the wall, right, and is then in the tree.
I mean, kind of just like, he goes north and never comes back. He like Benjen, right? He just pulls a Benjen.
Yeah.
He just goes north and never comes back. People don't know what happened to him, I think. I think a big question, though, is I think he took a Valyrian steel sword to the wall with him. Dark Sister. There's two Valyrian steel swords. I might be wrong. That sword might be lost somewhere else.
Dark Sister was... I just saw a video about Arya, and she's talking about Dark Sister being the sword of...
the dagger.
Well, isn't it one of the Targaryen... Wasn't one of the Targaryen sisters wielded right?
Visenya, I think.
Yeah.
The girl that Arya likes.
Yeah, so the show video, she's talking to Tywin. Yeah. Yep. And he's like, you know a lot for being Mason's daughter or what? Stone Mason's daughter. Yeah.
Since we're going into the histories a little bit, the next point I had about this like Weirwood is I just reread the Fire and the two books that I didn't reread all of Fire and Blood, but I reread Princess and the Queen and the Rogue Prince. Rogue Prince is what probably House of the Dragon season 1 is going to be based on. Princess and the Queen probably season 2 is going to be based on. This is a Princess and the Queen thing, so it's probably a little bit out there. But so in the Dance of the Dragons, Daemon Targaryen, basically it's in the middle of the Dance of the Dragons, and the king's brother, right? So the guy who's claiming to be king, who's fighting against Rhaenyra, is his brother Aemond One Eye. His tactic is basically, I'm just going to fly around and just roast the Riverlands. Just burn castle, burn castle, burn castle. So Daemon Targaryen goes to Harrenhal with his dragon, and he's basically like, I'm just going to wait for you. And just like, even though his dragon's smaller, he's like, I'm just going to wait for you, and I'm going to fight you whenever you show up. And he slashes the weirwood tree to count the days of how long he has to wait. So I thought it'd be really cool if, like, while Arya was out here, she sees like these 13 slash marks, because I think he has Dark Sister at the time. So like, there's Valyrian steels. There should be somewhere on this weirwood tree
13 slashes.
Score marks. So Yeah,
pretty cool.
I think it would have been just a little hint to.
Just a little history.
Yeah, I got House of the Dragons on the brain, but yeah.
Had he had thought about that yet, you know?
Exactly, probably not.
Cool. She wonders if the gods sent Jack in here. Sent from the gods is the word. Like, he kind of feels like goddish. Like he's acting supernatural as shit.
Well,
right?
kind of to what I said, like when Arya prays silently, "Help me, you old god," she prayed silently. "Help me get those men out of the dungeon so we can kill Sir Amory and bring me home to Winterfell. And make me a water dancer and a wolf and not afraid ever again." So if we're talking about what happens,
that vessel gets sent to her to free everybody, to kill Amory, and Jaqen teaches her more water dancing stuff.
Not Jaqen, but she eventually learns more water. He gives her the key to go learn more.
So
shit.
you're saying not Jaqen because we know Jaqen ends up at Old Town.
Yes. So I have this quote. Let's get into that real quick. So I had you read the quote of I don't know if I have it actually. Yeah, when he changes his face, Kyle read it.
Yeah.
You read it. I'm opening Feast of Crows.
Okay. Jaqen passed the hand down his face from forehead to chin, and where it went, he changed. His cheeks grew fuller, his eyes closer, his nose hooked. A scar appeared on his right cheek where no scar had been before, and when he shook his head, his long straight hair, half red and half white, dissolved away to reveal a cap of tight black curls. He grinned, revealing a shiny gold tooth.
So this is from Feast of Crows. Do you remember in Feast of Crows when he supposedly shows up again?
I remember the storyline, like a guy is trying to like buy a daughter, right?
Yeah. So a wench, basically a wet. Yeah, I think it's a daughter of like the person who runs this tavern is basically saying, "I'm going to sell my daughter's maidenhood for a gold dragon." And Pate is basically a maester. He's the point of view chapter. And he's basically a maester and not a novice, so he's training to become a maester in the Citadel. Failing. Pretty sure he's not actually going to make it as a maester. So his plan is to get this girl, marry her, go across the Narrow Sea, start anew. Across the Narrow Sea, nobody gives a fuck about maesters, so I'm not going to get in trouble for deserting or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the punishment would be. But he's been trying to save up and there's not a shot. So an alchemist comes in, and the reason we call him the alchemist is because what he tells Pate is, "I can turn iron into gold. You get me this iron key from Archmaester Walgrave, and I'll give you a gold dragon." Again, there's no actual alchemy at all. He's just basically telling him, "I'll trade you this." And that's like the thing that this guy says. But towards the end, Pate goes through, like, basically Pate gives him the key. I brought this up with Kyle. I don't know if he'll catch it, but
he bites the gold, gets poisoned, and dies.
And Arya did this with this iron in this one, right? So, and it's again biting the key right next to the time when this guy
biting the gold dragon
right next to the fate. Also, the description of Jaqen's face.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I didn't remember. Like, obviously, I didn't remember this. Like, it's like 3 books away, right?
But it's so cool once you put it together. So here, I'll read it. Let me read the description. So basically, Pate, even though he's already made this deal, he's really confused by like the whole alchemist thing, and he's basically says, "Show me your face, as you wish." The alchemist pulled down his hood. He was just a man, and his face was just a face. A young man's face, ordinary, with full cheeks and the shadow of a beard. A scar showed faintly on his right cheek. He had a hooked nose and a mat of dense black hair curled tightly around his ears.
That's him. Gold tooth? Where's the gold tooth?
And then there's gold tooth in there somewhere too. It's not at that. I think he had noticed it earlier when he was. He
smiles
talking.
And a gold
but
tooth.
But like it's like exactly the same, right? So.
Yeah, and which is, do you have a timeline? You don't have to look for it. Like how much?
I don't. While you mention the timeline, before you get into whatever you're gonna say, there's another Faceless Men occurrence potentially that we hear of, not in the continental Westeros, but in Westeros, before Feast of Crows. Stannis throws a few leeches in a fire. Yeah, I don't know if that's actually how it goes in the books, but
I don't. I only remember the leeches with Stannis in the show, so I don't know the book one.
If he does, what's that for though?
It's King's blood.
Does any of those 3 leeches have an effect?
It says to kill Joffrey, kill Robb, and
kill somebody that dies by a Faceless Man.
Who's the third life
in the books? He gets killed by a Faceless Man. Balon.
Euron.
So in the books,
you're saying Euron's a Faceless Man?
Oh, so in the show, I guess you're right. In the show, Euron is like we see Euron kill Balon.
Yeah.
In the books,
What's that POV? Whose POV is that?
there is no POV. We just hear of him dying from somebody else. But I think Euron eventually tells somebody that
He ordered a face.
sold a dragon egg or something to the Faceless Men in order to kill Balon. He bought a Faceless Men. So was that Jaqen? Jaqen's in Old Town. Old Town is not far from...
Old Town's pretty close. I get it. So this is my whole question. I'm going to ask my first. I got 2 questions about the Faceless Men because they intrigue me a ton. One, are they all the same person? Are they all...
No, that's a show thing. I think you got to get that out of your head. I don't think there's any hint of that
But
at
it's
all in the
super
books.
weird when they can just change their face and like why can't he change back to Jaqen again? There's nothing saying Jaqen's actually dead. He can go back to Jaqen.
And to your point, what he says here is not if you want to learn what I do, give this man any coin to Bravos. He says if you want to see me again, if you want to find me again, give this coin to any man from Bravos and say.
Right.
But when she goes to Bravos, she doesn't find him again. At least as far as I'm concerned, she doesn't.
But the kindly man or whatever the fuck his name is could change into Jaqen too.
Maybe, I don't know. It might be a thing in the show where you need the face. You need the actual physical skin of the face.
This guy rubbed his finger down his cheek and it changed in front of her eyes.
He pushed his whole hand down his...
No, this is how I pictured it. Like he was like dragging a line and the face was just
with his finger
melting away. Like he didn't take a mask and like shove it in his pocket. Like
when Arya does later, they like cut her face. Like Arya
I do. Yeah, I remember.
They like cut a face and put it on her. But again, they also explained to her in the House of Black and White that there's like 3 different levels. There's literally just like makeup.
That's what I'm
saying.
saying.
You're an actor. Then there's like a weird like glamour.
Yeah, you like paste the face on your head.
Well, no, that's the level 3. That's like the big dog one. Is you're actually wearing somebody else's face. But there's a level 2 where it seems like what they're describing is more of like a Melisandre glamour. But they say that the problem with that one is a really like a keen eye or like a trained eye can see through it. So I don't know. Maybe Jaqen is glamour in here, and Arya doesn't have a keen eye. I feel like Arya is pretty observant, though. But again, she's a little
young
girl.
Yet. She doesn't even... Yeah. So, it's just... Okay. I guess I'm just, like, a little bit we don't know too much about them yet. Like,
no.
We don't even know where Arya is going with them yet.
For sure. Right? She's, like, halfway through her training
Is she blind? She's still blind.
I mean, I've read the Winds of Winter chapter, and she's not blind for that, but...
Okay. I didn't read that yet. So... another thing that ends up being show, which I don't know if I care one way or the other. In the show, it's basically like you're not working for a god; you're basically working for money at the end of the day. Like, are they just like paid assassins?
It seems like that definitely is an influence. I mean, we hear that like Tyrion says like, "I wish I had enough money to pay for a Faceless Man," and along those lines, it's kind of interesting that Kyle. I mean, maybe it's. We haven't heard of we've only heard of the Faceless Men once or twice in this whole series. But he did say, like, clearly this guy is well known in Bravos. And they're called the Faceless Men. And he, like, again, you have to really be thinking about it. But you could piece together that Jaqen could be, and maybe the next time they mention Faceless Men and Bravos, that's when Kyle puts it together. And it's harder on this end. But I feel like right there is where you can put these 2 things together, that Jaqen is a Faceless Man. Right now, there's no thing. The other thing, what did I say during the podcast? And you even said, you're like, careful here. I think you might have been right. Maybe I should have just avoided that. Because basically I told Kyle, what did I say? I said, did you know anything about like the face changing? And I basically just told him that there's going to be a thing.
Because you were basically going to give Arya's like whole future storyline.
I basically said it's going to be a thing. Is basically kind of what I told him. So I agree with you. That was a good call.
It was good that you didn't end up mapping Arya to it yet. He still thinks Arya is going to Winterfell.
Yeah. But I think that was a good. That was a good save. You're just like careful.
Yeah. Which probably like got a cog turning or not. But then he was still like, I think Arya's going to tell. Like he's not even close.
And sometimes as long as we move off it quick and just don't give him time to linger and think about it, he'll never go back to it. So I only have one last thing. Do you have anything else?
I have another note about him. He confirms he will kill anyone.
Yeah.
So, wait, one fun one, because it feels like that's your last one too? Or no? Okay. So he confirms he will kill anyone, which, like, all right, he's doing something for a Maester's Key. What's he actually doing? The glass candle? Is that why he's there? Or
so the other thing besides the money, the Faceless Men, we know that at least they tell Arya that they have it seems like they have anti-Valyrian goals, right? We know Bravos was founded as a slave city from all the slaves who escaped Valyria after the Doom, right? So this is where all these slaves went, or it might have been it was before the Doom. I think it was an escaped slave city, and that's why it's really foggy and like gloomy and shitty at there. But that's what's good because none of the dragons couldn't see the city because of all the fog and shit. So I think part of that is why Bravos was founded. It's 100% founded by slaves. And when Arya starts asking about like the origins of the Faceless Men, I don't have the quote in front of me, but they basically hint that they caused the Doom. And we'll get into this later, I'm sure, but there's theories that the Lannisters paid them to cause the Doom. Or somehow involved in it. But basically they give a hint that, oh yeah, we don't like dragons. We don't like any of that bullshit. We know that we've heard basically, we don't know if this is true, but Maester Martell saying that the Maesters basically also don't like dragons, and they're the reason that the dragons went extinct. He said like,
because they chained them up and shit, or
well, he basically says Maesters were pulling strings to cause the Dance of the Dragons and cause a civil war. They're like, we're never going to kill all these dragons by ourselves. We need dragons to kill dragons. Let's turn these people against each other. That's one of the things that I'm afraid would be a spoiler if Kyle watched House of the Dragon. How much they get into some of the Maesters pulling strings.
Yeah.
Would he put pieces together that they're still potentially doing that?
I don't think Kyle should watch it. I don't think he should watch it at all.
I don't think it would have an impact. I think it would be cool if he did. I think it should be far enough removed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. And it might give small, cool connections. But he also doesn't seem to have interest in watching the rest of the show.
I think he wants to just read,
for sure, and maybe watch it all afterwards. And I think that's a good idea because we've already saw that even watching season 1, not a huge thing. But he found the Lancel thing, right?
Yeah,
Lancel and Cersei. That was what the season 1 gave away, and I'm sure even season 2 is pretty similar. That's when it starts. I'm sure it'll give more away. But
yeah. Oh well, I mean, Arya is going to be. Gendry's going to be with the Red Woman. Arya's going to be in Bravos a lot quicker than.
But again, Gendry going to the Red Woman isn't really a spoiler. That never happens in the books.
It's different for sure. I think the main character storylines are a lot advanced. What's your last thing?
This is something I think I talked to you about off air. Is Shagwell is the one with these talking heads.
Shagwell's the one with the talking heads. The one
he's like, oh, what killed you? Hot Weasel soup.
And did he just pull that out of his ass, the Hot Weasel soup? Or
so she says that Robert Glover must have been talking about what happened and how he was introduced and she was Weasel and whatever. I don't know, like Rory and Biter must have been the ones that said like, hey, it wasn't our idea, like, you know what I mean? Or else like it seems like Weasel's just a serving person who just came along for the ride, but it kind of all gets pinned on her at the end of the day, which tells me Rory and Biter must have said something, right? But the point with the Shagwell the talking heads is the way Shagwell dies, and I don't know, maybe this is a parallel, maybe not, maybe George was thinking about it, but I think that like the way Shagwell dies is like Brienne kills him when she's on her trip out to the Whispers. I think they call it the place she's going is called the Whispers, and I'll get into that in a second. But basically the storyline is she's looking for Sansa. She's with Pod. She goes into Maidenpool, I think, and she meets this guy named Nimble Dick who's bragging about having fooled a fool. And when basically Brienne investigates this guy basically says there was a fool who is looking for passage for 3 on a boat. And Nimble Dick told him about this like smuggler's cove where he could expect, and basically Nimble Dick's like, go to the smuggler's cove. I'll set this deal up and you guys will get picked up by this boat.
Yeah.
Nimble Dick then says the reason he says he fooled a fool is because basically smugglers don't go here anymore. No one's waiting for them and they're just going to go out there and no one's going to be there and Nimble Dick's going to run away by the time they come back or something like that. Something along those lines. So Brienne's basically like, you're coming with me. We're going to go find them. Because she's thinking, fool to fool, looking for passage for 3. This is Davos, Sansa, and Arya, or Davos, Sansa, and Tyrion, right? Because Tyrion's also missing from King's Landing. So she's like, awesome, I just found Sansa. Because Davos is a fool. Well, Shagwell is a fool. Who's here is doing these
not Davos.
Heads.
You're saying Davos.
Davos, yeah. Dantos. Dantos is a fool. The one who's with Sansa, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Brienne thinks this is Sansa. On the way out there, she basically makes Nimble Dick come along, doesn't trust him at all. Nimble Dick's the one who told basically said he did all this.
Yeah.
And on the way there, he said he's telling her about the place that he sent them. He says it's called the Whispers because like the water has eaten away the land underneath it. So there's like kind of like a big cave, not a cave, but you know what I mean, like a big like, opening underneath it. And there's like it makes weird noises and it sounds like there's whispers. But like the prophecies are that there's a bunch of like cut off heads that are down there, like basically talking heads that are whispering, and that's what all these noises are. These like cut off heads. So I don't know. I feel like it has to be a parallel that. So Brienne shows up and kills Shagwell. Basically, she shows up and kills.
Was Shagwell working with Nimbledick?
Shagwell was the fool. No. Shagwell fooled Nimbledick. Right? They actually killed Nimbledick when they show up. Nimbledick actually fooled these guys. It was Shagwell and 2 other bloody mummers. I don't remember which ones.
In the cave. They were in the cave.
No, they were just looking to get out of here. They were like they deserted from the Brave Companions and they're like, fuck this, we want to get out of Westeros. And they're looking for a way out. And he's like, go here. They paid Nimbledick. And Nimbledick was just going to leave and go. Yeah. Brienne thinks it's different people, so she's going after him. When they show up, I think they kill Nimbledick because they're like, you fucked us. Dead.
And then Brienne fucks him
kills
up.
them.
Yeah.
I think Brienne meets these people at some point too. Like, right, probably when the whole Jaime shit happened.
Yeah, when she was around there.
I just think it's interesting that Shagwell dies at a place that's like mythical, like the myth is there's talking heads. And like literally the first kind of introduction, I think like again, like
I don't remember him being mentioned. Yeah.
Like I said, there's a note on Qyburn. I think I have a note on Shagwell because she said like a fool came in, and I know there's a fool in the Bloody Mummers and it's Shagwell. But this is kind of like I think the first real mention of Shagwell, and he's literally doing talking heads. I feel like that has to be a connection to how he dies at the Whispers. And again, I haven't actually recently looked up anything from that Brienne story. I just really like the Brienne Feast of Crows stuff. And I'm pretty sure everything I'm saying, it might not be exactly right, but I think it's pretty close. I think it's a cool connection.
I'm not throwing down what you're picking up.
And again, that's like deep Feast of Crows. I think that's like at least halfway through Feast of Crows. And this is early, like, again, we're not early on in Clash of Kings, but like, I feel like where we're at is like, George is, if he's making this connection on purpose already, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or is it a thing where like when he gets to the point where he's like, okay, I need to think of a cool mythology for where Shagwell's going to die.
All right, where did Shagwell's story start?
Exactly. Again, I think either way, it's really cool writing to do it that way.
But
it makes it seem like he had it all planned out from the beginning, or maybe he didn't, but fuck, it's cool either way.
All right, last thing I had, the black bear. We'll see the bear again. Yeah,
bear, maiden fair. It's also just cool that Arya relates it to Yoren getting some revenge.
I was a little confused why Yoren, but I guess because
by Amory, right?
Amory, yeah.
And he was again one of the guys. Like Arya keeps having like father figures killed: Ned, Syrio, Yoren.
Yeah.
Jaqen abandons her; he doesn't die, and he's not really nearly as close to as a father figure as Yoren or Syrio, I don't think. But yeah.
All right.
Decently long spoiler section, even though there wasn't any big boomers, just a bunch of little things here and there, and long.
Should be a quick edit for you.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Next one should be, I almost gave some shit away with that too. It probably wasn't in the podcast, but before we started, we were talking about when we're going to do the next one. Danny isn't a long podcast, but it's the House of the Undying. So there's a ton of sentences that we're going to talk about. Like it's a one sentence thing that we're going to talk about, even with Kyle, because some of it's happened before. Right. So I think it'll be a decently long chapter or a podcast.
Not a long read, just a long podcast.
I mean, it's not a short read; it's medium length. But yeah, I think it'll be probably close to this length podcast as well. So,
all right, let's wrap it up.
All right, well, we'll see you guys in the next one for Danny 4, House of the Undying.
Winter's coming.
Bye bye.